up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Healthy Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Hello? Hello? Are we live? We're live now? No, we're live with the mic? Yeah. You're not. Your
False
mic's off.
start.
Do you know that? There's a false start. What's that? Red flag? Yellow flag? Green flag? Blue flag? What flag?
Yellow.
Yellow?
Yellow.
Well, I guess you have to have a drink early. Technical difficulties. Take a drink to episode 1. That's right. It's Wrestling on the Rocks, where every show is our first show. Because we don't go to our second show until we do the first show right. And if there's one thing we do right, it's do the first show wrong. Guys, I'm at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR, the show. And with me today, the other half of the legendary podcasting duo, Kevlar on the Rocks, of the famed Ironics.
It's Kevlar on the Rocks with the X.
With an X.
The X.
With an X. And joining us now perpetually and forever, the trio back together for the first time since episode 1. We got Sports Beard over here.
Woohoo! So happy. So excited. I really want to thank you guys for having me permanently, and the graphics and the intro is just incredible. I'm so it's humbling. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to put together. So it was a twofold thing. We're like, hey, we got Sports Beard. I got to get him in on the intro. So we got my commissioned artist that I do for our caricatures, because I just love that guy's style so much. His name is Lucas. If you go to Sports Beard's Twitter, so it's beard_sports. I believe it's still pinned, is it not?
It is pinned. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it pinned for a while.
There is a pinned tweet there on his with the animation of the drawing that in the comments the artist was tagged, so that way you guys can also go to him and get him to commission. He gave me a turnaround of like a day, because I was like, well, I'll have time, because he usually takes a couple weeks. He hit me up and I hit him up and I was like, hey, whenever you have time. He goes, you're in luck, I got nothing to do today, and just knocked it the fuck out. So
it was
awesome.
Incredible, dude. I was crying. I was so emotional. It was so cool. I mean, I'm just saying, it was so flattering, so cool, so awesome. If I designed it myself, I wouldn't have made it that awesome. I mean, you know, you have a vision in your head of what you'd like to have. And you didn't even consult me on it. Like, you just had it made. And so that like even made it even more special to me. I can't tell you how special I felt it was. My Steph can tell you, Ref Marsh, so it was heartwarming, man. I loved it so much, dude. It was incredible. I really do, all serious aside. Now let me tear Adam Pearce apart. No, just kidding.
Yeah. So so I thought it was a good time because we wanted to get you in. The illustration came right in, and at the same time during the week we hit over 100 subscribers on our YouTube, which means we have our own custom URL. So you can now go to youtube.com/wrestling on the rocks, one word, to find all of our videos. But I mean, we don't.
And I'll link it in my Twitter and I'll also link it on the Sports Beard when I start doing live broadcasts again, which are going to start back up.
Oh, nice.
At least once a week, I want to do a live broadcast for a hockey or something. So
that sounds good. If Kev's around, he might join.
Kev, are you a hockey fan? Who's your team?
The Yotes.
Oh, yeah. I would love to do a Yotes. I want to promote them so much. That team has got a bright future there. And I'll tell you what, I've watched them play 3 times this year, and they don't have any talent on that team left except for Chychrun, and they play their butts off. I love what they're doing. They are not going to be an easy. We played them. The Caps played them. My team, my favorite team, the Caps. And, you know, I root for the Kraken too. But it was 2-0, but an empty net goal. Yeah, it was incredible. The Coyotes played their butts off. They took like 27 penalties in the game. I couldn't believe they were in their own end the whole game. But I respected them so much. And then They played the next game. They played even a tougher team, and they played their butts off. So they're fun to watch. I hope people that are hockey fans will give the Yotes a chance just to see how hard they play. There's some aging guys on that roster, and I'm sure it's not going to be the same, but they're going to be back. That I like their general manager's really good. So I'm rooting for the Yotes to be a playoff team in the next 3-4 years. There's supposed to be big NHL trade going down today as we speak right now, guys. Actually, the Jack Eichel trade is supposed to finally be done. So we'll see.
Nice.
All right. Very good, very good. Well, I thought to commemorate that, if you're listening on podcast, you have no idea what happened. We have a brand new intro because I left all the audio for the intro the same, but I made the visuals much, much different. So now everyone's included in there. It's all really good, and we got Sports Beard in there. I also wanted when I commissioned that piece for you, Mr. Beard, I wanted to make sure that I did something you'd be able to use outside of just our show. And I knew that if I went like too wrestling heavy on something, like if I gave you a universal title or something, that it'd be pretty specific. But I think one of the things that you bring to the show is your fervor for the other sports in the world. And you do talk about hockey quite a bit. And I thought, what better way than to have you holding up a Stanley Cup? Because that also makes you stand out like a sore thumb in our lineup. Everyone's holding up a title, and you've got like the Stanley Cup. Like you don't know the difference. It's great.
Dude, I'm telling you, I love it. It is incredible. Thank you so much.
You should have done a Canley Cup.
The which cup?
The Canley Cup. There's a Canadian company that made. They called it the Canley Cup, and on top of your beer, they put the little top of the Stanley Cup on there, and it just popped on.
Yeah.
And so you could just drink out of the Stanley Cup when you're drinking just any beer. And the NHL got all pissed off about that and cease and desist letters and everything. It was great. I saw one for sale online and it was $60. I was like, that's cool, but not that cool.
Oh, I totally want one.
Yeah, no, I want one, but
I'm going to pay $60 for it. Yeah. Shoot me the link.
Shoot them the link as soon as you see it. Anybody else sees it for sale, tweet it right at beard_sports. Let's see. Spinnerfox is already in the chat. He looks like he just came and went, though, as he does. Spinnerfox does say, boom, baby. Just had to drop by and say hi. We have been heard Dr. Sasquatch has made Master Chief soup. Give your gamer in life some Master Chief Halo soup. And he said, okay, Dynamite is on still. Talk to you later. All right. Yeah, whatever that meant. Do it. Repeat it. Rinse it. Guys, I'm glad we're all back. We haven't been... Oh, Spinner Fox is back. He didn't leave. He says soap. Oh, because I said soup a bunch. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think that was me. Soap.
Right, he spelled soup wrong. That's it.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you can tell that he can't. He did spell it right. Like, I mean, I'm gonna go back and edit it. I'm gonna edit it and make it so it said soup, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, what a dude," you know, scumbag messing with Marsh. All right, cool. Well, let's do. I'm happy we're all back. Kev, we haven't seen you since before Crown Jewel. Was there anything specifically you wanted to shout out from there?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, it was good. I was entertained by it, which was nice. Unlike other Saudi Arabia shows.
Yeah, I was surprised about how good it was, to be honest. But let's go. Let's get to it. Let's start with something simple. What's in your glass? I'm gonna start with Kevlar.
I'm drinking a Barrio Blonde from the Barrio Brewing Company right here in Tucson, Arizona. That's
a great one. That's a fantastic one. That's one of those ones where if I'm out, because you can get like Miller Lite anywhere, if I'm out, I'll try and get a Barrio because it's just a good brewery in town. Mm-hmm. Mr. Beard, what's in your glass? What are you drinking?
Terramana with little grapefruit juice. We found a white grapefruit juice in Alaska. Haven't been able to find it in like 3 years.
Nice.
Well, I don't think grapefruits grow out there, do they?
Yeah, but they do ship stuff to Alaska, so...
Most things don't. If you ever look on the bottom of most things, it says, except for Alaska and Hawaii, because fuck them. Yeah. Almost everything says that. Even lottery tickets say, except we're not even shipping you money.
Yeah, that's true.
Some bullshit. You're like, can you just wire it? We could, but it's just far away is all. Like, it's electronic. That's just far though.
I
It's a
gotta
long
say,
wire.
who can ever,
real long
you know,
wire.
I just have to say, you know, 75-80% of the crap we order comes from China anyway. Well, do you know where it comes into the country first? Alaska. So it's hilarious. These air cargo planes land like 5 minutes from my house. They could, whoever figures out the algorithm, they'll be paying us to get stuff in Alaska, because then they can offload it here. Yeah. And if they had a distribution here, a distribution center. I don't know. Somebody at Amazon, figure it out, dude, because we should be gifted shipping costs. Because I'll watch something go from here, it'll come into the country, go to Alaska, go to Kentucky, UPS's distribution center, and then take another week and a half to come back to where it already has been. How much sense does that make?
Yeah, that's what I've told people before.
Don't ship to Alaska.
Even when I was living there, I took note of the fact that, because everyone, when you tell someone you're living in Alaska, they go, "Oh, the fish must be really cheap. The lobster must be cheap." And if you're not on the pier when they're bringing it in, it's not, because it all gets shipped out to Seattle and then shipped back to Alaska. So you spend the same exact money that you would anywhere else.
We get charged twice as much as anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, because they're all like, "Well, it flew really far."
I mean, our salmon doesn't suck, but that's true.
And if I've been down to the pier and gotten some pretty fresh fish, and it was pretty good. But outside of that, forget it. If you're going to the store, it's the same shit, longer times. Let's see real quick. Could you scroll up a little bit in that chat? Because Spinner Fox said a thing, and it's not pulling up on the restream for whatever reason. The other ones. He goes, how the gamers and wrestling fans stink at cons and events. Oh yeah. It's happening. He's getting the soap. And then Take says, why ship to Alaska when you can plane to Alaska?
Yeah, most everything is shipped in via boat. It's way more effective. It's hilarious. The stuff that air cargoes in to Alaska, then down to the distribution centers where they go on trucks, where they'll ship it via boat or plane. If it's a small package you order on Amazon, it's coming via plane. That's how you get that stuff. But like all our sundries, all our major goods are all shipped from the lower 38 on big barges and with the connexes and stuff.
Because you can get all those shipping pods. Like if you watch Dexter, those pods where they murder people in all the time, you load those up on boats and stuff. And
but that's how the U.S. gets all their stuff too.
Yeah,
Los Angeles, Miami, New York, Seattle, those 4 major shipping ports in the U.S.,
Yeah. 100%.
Louisiana.
Bishop also coming through with subscribe with his Prime. You too can Prime subscribe. That means it cost Bishop absolutely nothing, and it just bought us a drink. He Twitched primed his accounts together, and then you are given, as part of your Prime subscription, a free subscription to any Twitch channel. He has decided to bestow that upon us to get us a drink. You can too. You can be like Bishop. If you go to WrestlingRocks.com, there's a breakdown on how you can link those two things together. So we appreciate that. Cheers to Bishop.
Cheers.
Cheers, Bishop.
I'm having a truly sparkling hard seltzer passion fruit. I like them. I like these ones. I just want something a little lighter today.
You feel the passion?
It's been a long couple days, so I want a little something lighter. I don't want to go too heavy. What's up? All right. Well, I think that we can get right into it. Then we can do some of the things. Jeremiah, you had. I mean, I didn't have anything on my news docket that you didn't have on yours. So I'll just let you run down the list of what you want to talk about first.
Do we want to start with Adam Pearce? Do we want to start with Adam?
Let's start with Adam Pearce, and let me.
Jeremiah's in YouTube chat.
Yeah, he's also on screen.
Oh, I just dropped a drink in the chat. Sorry.
He just put a drink in the chat. She was freaking out. She was. You can see the picture. It's him. Like they're right next to each other.
Oh, I didn't look. Sorry.
That's him. That's the guy. All right. He was just.
Forget it.
Oh my God. I apologize for this.
It's the man.
I got excited. We got a YouTube chat.
She's like, oh God, YouTube's blowing up.
I left a like too.
Yeah.
I know. That's the thing. We're doing 4 platforms. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's
really neat. But so let me set the scene and follow my lead on this one, Mr. Beard, because from what I saw happen, Adam Pearce ripped his pants on TV. He sent out a tweet. What was the original tweet context that he
something
sent out?
Something about him being unbreakable.
Yes.
I'm unbreakable or something. And I was like, but those pants weren't.
That's all he said. He said it with with an emoji of pants. It goes, but those pants emoji weren't unbreakable.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how more playful I could be. I'm now blocked for life by Adam Pearce.
It was crazy. So then the other thing is like 2 or 3 below yours, someone tweeted something very similar. Do you remember what that tweet said over there about? It was just something along the lines of like,
He made a joke out of it, like a little pun.
yeah, he's just made some sort of pun about unbreakable in pants. And Adam Pearce responded to that one and said, "Well done, sir."
That was a verified account, though.
It was a verified account. So I think what happened here, and I'm going to get your take on it here. What it appears happened is it appears that Mr. Sportsbeard has become victim of the IWC reputation that thus precede him. What's going on here is that Mr. Sportsbeard looks at Twitter the way that wrestling fans are supposed to but don't. He knows Twitter's not real. He knows it's all for fun. If you go on there, if you follow Beard_sports, you're going to see him talk shit to the heels and talk about how good the good guys are, because that's what's going on here. I think what happened, if I were to just postulate, as I do, I think that you got blocked just because he was like, oh, some asshole internet wrestling community troll. I'm just going to block him because this guy's going to be endlessly, attacking me, which is not at all accurate in any way. But the IWC is that way. And so it's really kind of interesting to me that you're diving into the IWC. You make, like you said, a very playful joke. And Adam Pearce is like, block this kid.
Yeah, first of all, I'm probably older than Adam Pearce. I did serve my country for 25 years. I'll just say this.
Good call.
As a disabled veteran, I meant no disrespect. And I retweeted that saying, hey, I meant no disrespect. I should have recommended Bird Dog Pants, which is a sponsor of Pat McAfee, and hopefully a sponsor of Wrestling on the Rock soon, because I own so many of them, it's ridiculous now. But I retweeted with the block, like I didn't mean to offend him. Like I wasn't trying to, and I get it. I should have known that the IWC has a real bad reputation on the internet based on what Pat McAfee says on his show about the IWC when he very seldomly talks about the IWC. It's usually they're a bunch of fucks. So I get that. I just, I felt bad. Like I wasn't trying to hurt the guy's feelings, but then I started to think, well, this guy's a professional.
Yeah.
He works for the company. Isn't there some level of you're going to take some level of criticism? And I'm not criticizing him for dude, it's going to bruise any man's ego to get slammed by Brock Lesnar the way that dude did twice. Okay. I'll just say this. Name a human being on the planet that could stop that from happening in the ring. I don't think there is one. So he has nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, seriously, I can't find my tweet, but whatever. My retweet, I just didn't get it. It's almost like, okay, I don't have a ton of wrestling stuff in my profile or anything. So I don't even look oh, by the way, since we talked about the logo, that's now my logo for Discord, for Facebook. No, I don't have Facebook. Sorry, no Facebook. Fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg.
You don't have Meta?
Meta, whatever the F they're trying to call it now so they can brainwash people into being on it. So my Twitter, my Discord, my YouTube page now uses that logo, the Sportsbeard logo that you commissioned. Again, thank you so much. But so that was on there. I think when I tweeted it, if it wasn't, it was my face, which is me smiling with a cup of coffee next to me. Yeah. You can't see the coffee in the circle, but I just didn't get, it didn't make any sense. Cause like there was no vitriol in this. I understand. I think the problem in the world today is we don't communicate effectively. And if you read a tweet or a text or a post, there's no tone attached to it, right? There's no way to attach a tone. I've been doing like, oh, that was sarcasm or something, just so if I say something that could be perceived as hurtful, I don't know. I guess it's the times we live in.
Yeah. Yep. Kev, what do you think? What do you think about what happened there?
I think it's funny. Like, you know, I don't go on Twitter at all, but to see like what Sports Beard said as a public figure get upset that somebody said, you know, your pants aren't tough, and just block them.
your dress pants split open because Brock Lesnar's sausage fingers grabbed that part of his pants when he did his slam. I don't understand why you would even be thin-skinned about it. Like, I don't get Adam Pearce being thin-skinned about it. And I don't know who Adam Pearce is. He didn't wrestle in my era of watching wrestling. And if he did wrestle, I don't remember him. I didn't even bother looking him up because I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy means so little to me. He could not be on WWE promo. He could be not on the WWE stuff tomorrow. And I don't know how he wouldn't be missed by me. Like, I wouldn't even remember that he was there. I kind of like how Pat refers to all the people in charge, you know?
Well, I'm just surprised they didn't like he didn't run with it. Like, damn, Brock hit me so hard, split my pants type of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, dude.
And instead he's offended by it.
Yeah.
Well,
that was the weird part to me is, yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's go, producer.
Yes.
Deal it out.
So it kind of reminds me just of what is really out there in the IWC that maybe, you know, sports doesn't know because he hasn't been on for a while. But like recently, someone in my feed, because I run our account, was just saying some crappy things about Carmella and just how she looked. Like, you know, just being really shitty, saying just really negative, like mean-spirited stuff where it's like, okay, what are we doing here? And so I just, you know, quietly unfollowed that person and just tweeted, you know, hey, fastest way to get unfollow or block from us is, you know, degrade women wrestlers. Because it's like this is the stuff that is out there from like adults. So I could understand someone in the industry, you know, thinking like, hey, we're all like that because we're all just idiot fans that just apparently say stupid crap. And so, I mean, that is the other side of it where I was surprised, like, what, really? You know?
But see, to me, it's like, there's two ways to try and get somebody's attention, either positive or negative.
Right.
You know, so when a bunch of positive stuff is out there, you do have these trolls just trying to get attention. So they say all this negative shit, whether they mean it or not, it's a different story. And they just try and get a reaction out of the person. I'm like, oh, you know, Carmella tweeted me back a mean face or something like that, or, you know, or blocked me. You know, I think that's like a badge of honor for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of them get proud of that. Like, oh, look who else blocked me.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. My first thought, and this is just my personality, when he blocked me was like utter horror. I was horrified. I was like, oh my God, I really hurt this guy's feelings, and I felt bad about it for a second. So here's what I said in retweet on the block. I said, I guess he didn't like the comment I left about his pants splitting open. I should have suggested purchase Bird Dog pants, real high quality and flexible, just as Pat McAfee showed Mr. Pierce. He can tell you how great they are. I meant no disrespect to you or your pants, sir. I mean, like, I did not mean any disrespect to Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce, if you ever find it in your heart to unblock me, I would think you're a awesome person. Right now, I don't know what to think of you. Again, I didn't really know who you were before that, but I wasn't trolling you.
Yeah.
He's never going to see this anyway, so it doesn't matter.
To be fair, Beard here, like I said, has just come back to the to wrestling in general.
Yeah,
He's just joined the IWC, so he really is coming at this with fresh eyes. So
fresh levity.
He's all newer than me, and I think the amount of crap that they get is probably something that a lot of us forget. But they get it in, you know, like daily by the minute.
For sure.
And that's why Carmella had tweeted a picture or Instagram a while ago saying like, you know, with no makeup, saying, hey, I know this is the persona I do on TV, but this is how I am, you know, real life. And, you know, I've been having a lot of negativity come at me. And so I'm just going to throw some positivity back there. So it's like, you know, they do read that stuff. They do, you know, have to respond to it at some point.
Well, let me.
But doesn't it take more time to sit there and block somebody than actually just ignore it?
Maybe, unless they're like spamming it. But let me say something. I didn't have it in the notes, and we didn't talk about it before the show. But I have not been the nicest person to Carmelo as far as not being a fan. I've completely changed. Just based on knowing a little bit about her as a person and then knowing that her and Corey Graves got engaged and to hear the banter on Monday night, I completely loved it. Like, I fell in love with what they're doing there. Now, I'll tell you what I really also liked that they did, though, was they took the stable of female wrestlers for Monday Night Raw and were kind of poo-pooing the message that Carmella is putting out as a heel on the show, and I was a huge fan of it. And I really liked what they did there. So I'll be the first to admit when I'm not in the right. But I didn't mean to do whatever with Adam Pearce. So it's not trying to hurt the guy's feelings. And I get producer lady is on it. They probably receive 10,000 pieces of troll a day. I would just say that I had never trolled anybody. I wasn't trolling him there. Had I done it like 6 times, I would expect him to block me, but
I'll say
that's not the kind of human being I am. So
as people who actively don't want to troll and are actively trying to be positive, it does feel sometimes like tweeting on eggshells for sure. I've definitely went to go tweet about stuff and been like drafting it 4 or 5 times saying, can this be twisted in one way or another? Like, it's tweeting in the wrestling atmosphere is so crazy. It's because you understand what they go through all the time. I mean, you don't understand. You try. You could think you do. I don't think even as much as we think we know, I don't think we know.
No, so, we don't know.
Yeah.
Have you? It's like looking at your email inbox that has 14,000 emails in it that you haven't read, and that's like every day for those people.
Yeah.
Except for it's like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, because even though you're out there in the public's eye, there is a lot of adoration and awesomeness and positivity that you can get out of it, but there's probably equally as much toxicity and negativity that comes out of it. And the fact that a lot of them come out and they're all decent people, like I like hearing about how, again, Becky Lynch won me over. She can be a heel for the rest of her days, knowing that she's like a quality person behind the scenes and the stuff that I read. I wanted to ask you, we didn't talk about this in the notes either. This was something I really wanted to ask you about because, you know, I've been doing research and I've been kind of going back and watching some of these like highlights at WWE. Yeah. And I saw that I watched a thing on Peacock about the 2016 draft, and Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair were like best friends. And they're like, I don't know what I would do if I get separated from Charlotte. And I was like, Okay. So the stuff that we saw the other day was just for fun. That there was no real. I
don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. No, I think.
You think they're not friends anymore?
Yeah, to me, there was like a real rift. Like watching it play out throughout the years. Like there were a few times where it was like, that's, to me, I perceived it as, a real rift, and I could be wrong. I could be, getting worked, but.
Well, they're good actors. A lot of them don't get the credit for how good actors they are. Look, The Rock, I'll tell you this. The movie, it's not even a good movie. The reviews sucked. The movie was not that good because it was a sequel to a movie that was incredible. But the movie, it's the sequel to Get Shorty. I can't even think of the movie. but he plays like a gay guy.
Oh,
and he really slimmed down for the role, and he did so well. I was like, that dude is going to be a superstar. Like, I knew, like, he can act. He's as good an actor as I've ever seen. In any, and he happens to be a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? So that was the movie that I thought, you know, The Rock is going to be a big star.
it was Be Cool.
Be Cool, which is actually a sequel. It's a book, you know, to Get Shorty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what I'll tell you is that they were really close, Becky and Charlotte, while Charlotte was being pushed to the moon and Becky was struggling but winning the fans over. The turn that flipped Becky into superstardom was 2017 or 2018.
I think 2018.
I think it's 2018 SummerSlam. There was the triple threat with Charlotte, Carmella, and Becky. And everyone was behind Becky. And at the end of it, Becky was meant to turn heel. And by turning heel, what she was supposed to do was Charlotte won the match. She holds up the title. Becky Lynch goes to hug her because it's like her best friend, right? But then she slaps her in the face. The whole crowd, as soon as she slaps her, the whole crowd just erupts in one of the loudest pops of excitement. And then to really turn the heat up, Becky just starts laying in on Charlotte, beating the shit out of her, throwing her through tables, just really like fucking her up. Then at the end of it, Charlotte is sitting there on the ground with her hand on her knee, and she's like literally crying because during all of this, the crowd keeps cheering for Becky. They're chanting one more time. They're chanting, "Thank you, Becky." They're chanting, "You deserved it." It was crazy. The crowd was so rabidly against Charlotte and so much wanting Becky to be their guy that the next night...
Their man.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay.
The next, I believe it was the next Smackdown, which I think at the time it was Monday, Tuesday. It was Smackdown because it was all about the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I think it was when Smackdown was on Tuesdays, not Thursdays, so it didn't feel so far apart. So on that Tuesday, Becky comes out and cuts a promo saying, "I heard you guys, and y'all turned your backs on me." And it's the same crowd because it's the weekend. They used to do it where you'd go and you would see the takeover, NXT takeover, SummerSlam, and then you'd also get tickets for Raw and SmackDown because it was all like a 4-day thing. So it's the same crowd, it's the same people, and they start booing like, "No, no, no," and then they're chanting Becky, 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 and then they're just like really laying it on thick that, "No, Becky, we are super behind you," and it made the whole promo feel really weird. And it was like the next week where they went ahead and flipped her back to a babyface, and it became the man gimmick and went huge. In that process, all that's just to set it up to let you know, Beard. In that process, there was a very real rift in the friendship between Charlotte and Becky because of the belief that Becky took it out from underneath Charlotte, kind of a deal, and that Becky wasn't like the preordained one. It wasn't meant to be. I know there's a lot of people who will tell you that, you know, I can't defend the idea, like, what do I know, all that stuff. There's a lot of people who say, like, oh, they're so kayfabe that they play into it so well, and oh, they're just keeping it kayfabe the way they do their social medias and stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now that I don't for one second believe any of it is kayfabe. And we can talk offline about other reasons why I believe that to be the case. But the friendship between them was severed there, and it never got better.
Well, on that note, they got separated in that 2016 draft too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and you could tell I wondered, I mean, look, master manipulator Vince McMahon, right? I'm sure he knew they were close, and he was like, I can use this to my advantage later. So what you were saying dawned on me a little bit when Stone Cold had his really bad injury, and they tried to use him as a heel and those have actually become really still very famous with like Kurt Angle and him with the guitar playing and all that. But, you know, there wasn't that personal thing on the side. You know, it seemed like in the men's stable, your friends are your friends. I mean, I think it helps that you wrestle in the same, you know, I mean, Taker and Stone Cold were close because they wrestled like, you know, back in the day together too, right? They wrestled a lot coming up through the depths of of middling wrestling in the South, Appalachia of America, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're making, peanuts and living in cockroach motels and stuff. So I imagine those bonds are not unlike bonds that servicemen and women get when they serve overseas and stuff like that. And you're in shitty conditions and stuff like that. So I totally can 100% relate being a vet that's, that served for 25 years and have been in some, in some situations where you're like, oh yeah, this is good. Well, I'll just give you a quick anecdote that we deployed to Kosovo, and one of the places we trained at before we deployed was Fort Stewart, Georgia. And this one guy, won't name his name. He said, this is worse than jail. And I know, because I've been to jail. So, it was pretty bad living conditions. We called it the Grapes of Wrath. They were pretty, you'd be taking a shit and some dude would be in front of you brushing his teeth. It was not great. And there was no stalls. And I'll never forget, I slept above this guy named Wilson Clark that I swear to God, he snored louder than a bandsaw, like cutting through metal. It was so terrible. And this is before noise reduction headphones, and there was just nothing to be done. I didn't sleep good for months. So
nice, perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, and that was the start of the whole thing, and Becky obviously got launched into superstardom, which was unlike anybody he'd seen since realistically like Stone Cold, because it was just so high so fast, even though there was years prior to it. You couldn't do it. Grim Reaper's coming through chat saying hello, and he does say the WrestleMania 35 match was penciled in to be Ronda versus Charlotte from SummerSlam, but
Ronda versus Becky.
No, the WrestleMania one was supposed to be Ronda versus Charlotte. That's what it was supposed to be. And then at that SummerSlam, Becky and her fans changed those plans. It got so big they couldn't deny it. And then Charlotte being added into that WrestleMania match also added to the strain of their friendship, both kayfabe and real life, to be quite honest. But that... I mean, even in storyline, there was no reason for Charlotte to be involved in that match at all, other than that they had told her she would be in it. And so even in storyline, they just had Vince McMahon saying, I'm putting Charlotte Flair in the match because I'm putting Charlotte Flair in the match. Because I can. Yeah. Yeah. She was so far removed from being a believable part of that match that the only thing they could do kayfabe-wise that would even make sense is have Vince McMahon come out and say, I'm putting her in the match. Because I can. And you go, oh.
So the whole dropping of the belt and stuff, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of years of I would just say human nature, but it's the green monster, the little green monster, jealousy. There's some jealousy kicking in from Charlotte because she will never be. Well, and I'll tell you, Becky looks so good in the ring. She's so smooth and fluid as a wrestler. I'm so impressed with her. As far as I said, she won me over with the thing. I never had a problem with her in-ring performance. Mm-hmm. You can tell she takes her training real seriously. I mean, the fact that woman had a baby. I mean, I look like I just had a baby.
Yeah. True.
We all do.
Yeah. I mean, I looked. I'm hoping to get to 210 before the end of the year. That ain't happening. Anyway, so I'll just say she's super into it. So I did.
That's honestly what won her over to the fans, and then we'll go back to what you're saying. That I just want you to know that's what won her over in the fans before. Mm-hmm. That's how they got to the point of the man. Is her in ring was so good, and her moments they gave her the mic, which was so few and far between. She was so charming and relatable because she was quirky and shit, and she would always make some sort of pun, and it was always some sort of shitty pun that would give her a big smile, and she was so charismatic in those moments that the interviewer couldn't help but break and start smiling and laughing, and you at home couldn't help but also laugh and say she's so dumb, but you're won over. So it was those little things in her in-ring that made it possible to... That's why they got behind her. They said, no, she's one of us. She's ours. She's
Riddle.
Impossible to not like.
Yeah. Did you want to tell the story on what won you over recently on Becky?
Yeah, so I watched a little thing about a fan, and I don't know what was going on with the fan. I think she just had really bad anxiety, which I can relate to because I suffer from super bad anxiety at times, and I guess she couldn't even talk to her, and she just broke character and like befriended the girl, let her take a picture with her in the belt, and I just thought, you know what, man? People that don't give a crap wouldn't do anything there. She seems like a really quality human being. And I'm sure she is. Like, again, I wasn't a fan of what they were trying to do with her character. Again, you have to understand contextually for the people that don't know the sports spirit and where I come from. Just imagine you were out of the wrestling world since about 2003. You really haven't paid attention, but bits and pieces. I mean, obviously I was familiar with Bray Wyatt and a few things there, but really I didn't come back till SummerSlam of this year.
Yeah.
So SummerSlam is when Becky came back to beat Bianca Belair. She wasn't even supposed to be in the thing. I was like, what are they doing with this? Because, you know, from what I had seen from a few weeks before SummerSlam, I had come back. So I'd seen Bianca, who I'm like, man, this, testament to producer lady and defending like Carmella and these women wrestlers. I mean, the thing that really Pat McAfee, without a doubt, got me back into wrestling. Okay. I'll give Pat 100% credit. I'm a fan of Pat. I listen to his show every day, 3 hours. I watch it. I love him. I have so much respect for him. When I started watching the product again, WWE, that's all I have the time to specifically watch. I'm paying attention to some of the AEW stuff and other things, but for the most part, I don't have the time. It really was the women wrestling that I was like, man, this is really good. And I knew Shayna Baszler from UFC, and I knew Rousey was in the UFC or WWE, but I haven't yet to see her compete or anything. But I really didn't know much about the women's stable because, like Trish Stratus was in China and Lita were the wrestlers that were wrestling before I left. So I missed a lot of this movement of where the Baileys and these women that just could kick ass and wrestle and you don't have to tell me women are awesome. Like I married one of the greatest and she's incredible, way more successful than I have ever been in my career. And just like, I never had any doubt that women were capable of just about everything. And it doesn't surprise me that in ring, they're just as good, if not better at times. And honestly, like I like the women's matches more. Honestly, they've been better. I mean, there've been some great men's matches. So, but I've been so impressed with the stable of women wrestlers and all these Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. These women are awesome, and their promos are good, and they're exciting, and they're fun to watch. And so I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Well,
that's Kevin.
I was gonna say, well, that's the biggest difference. If you kept or stopped watching in 2003 compared to now, is back then there was maybe 3-4 women max that could hold a match down. Like you said, the Litas, the Trish Stratuses, the Jacqueline's or Mickey James.
Jacqueline was around. She was incredible.
Yeah,
I omitted
but
the wrestler.
But now, there's a whole 2 divisions, and really 3 if you include NXT.
Yeah.
Of women wrestlers, and not including AEW, but I heard their women division's garbage. But anyways,
It's getting better.
that
but, yeah.
just are amazing. They from top to bottom, it's like, hey, any of these women can go, and it's great, and they can put on the show. Like I keep looking back at like Dana Brooke, for example. That's kind of always been lost in the shuffle with WWE. Had her little pushes here and there. But I mean, if she was wrestling back in 1997, she would have been one of the top women on the
Massive
roster.
Standout. Yeah. She would have been a huge standout.
Well, they're not doing much. Kevin, in your examples, they're not doing much right now with Liv Morgan. They're not doing much with who's the creepy offshoot for Bray Wyatt? That's
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss, and I was impressed with them. So Naomi, Chris, and I. Now I know some of this stuff is due to injury, but I'm with you. Like I agree.
Yeah.
But I think that's the luxury that they have now. Where like Alexa, who's been on TV for the past several years, where she can have a break right now and rebrand and stuff like that. One of the bigger ones too right now is Asuka that you don't even know about, and she's out because of injury. And when she comes back, she's going to blow your mind. And these women are athletic and actually athletes now, and that was the whole thing. The transition, they're not divas anymore, and I think that's where Carmella gets a lot of flack right now because she is, to me, the modern day diva. Right. But yeah, they're
ring
not
stuff
divas
is not
anymore.
bad.
They're athletes. Yeah. Oh no, I think she's great in the ring.
Yeah. I think that's what makes it work right now is the fact that she's so good in ring that her playing off of being sort of a new take on a diva, but it's also dripping in character. Like she does so much character work. It's crazy. And when you think about the Divas era, it was strictly looks. It was really shallow character and very little in ring for most of the women in those divisions. Not all by any means, but then you have a Carmella now who's so thick in character and she's so good and smooth in the ring that her personality, her character being diva-esque makes it stand out in a working fashion because it's the only thing of its kind right now, but she also gets the job done in every other aspect as well, to where it's like it is still night and day. She wouldn't blend in with the divas back then. She wouldn't. She would her dad was a jobber and stuff. But real quick, I want to hit the chat real fast here to go back a little bit. Bishop was saying that about Becky Lynch, not in the Daniel Bryan way. This was an organic performance takeover, in my opinion. Daniel Bryan was also very organic and performance based. His thing. But then Grim Reaper comes in. They totally disrespected Asuka by having her drop the SmackDown Women's title literally a week before WrestleMania to give Charlotte more of a shine.
Oh, that's Charlotte's MO.
I would be hard pressed though to say that part of it wasn't that Becky was so big that they wanted to give Becky the biggest possible moment and give her both titles. But at the same time, it is hard to argue what other reason could they have possibly gotten to get Charlotte there to make sense, and it could have also been to give Charlotte that credibility.
Yeah. Real quick, because I don't want to get off. I don't want to get off. I know we're gonna we're gonna go to other things, but I just wanted to say, in relation to Carmella, I actually, I initially probably was not a fan, and I had kind of voiced that I wasn't a fan of what I take everything bad I said about her back. For moving her to Raw was a really good move, and because of her engagement to Corey Graves or whatever, I could see her becoming like an uber heel, like the incredible, like a WrestleMania, like a for women's title heel. I would really like to. I could see her getting that push because it was really good and really believable. Just the back and forth between Saxon and Corey Graves was so hilarious to me on Raw. I was like, oh my God. And it was because I had learned the information like a couple hours or I don't know before that Corey Graves and her were like, in real life engaged. So I just was like, of course he's going to say nice things about her, which good. I'm so glad they're allowing him to, right? Like, and not making him say bad things about her or whatever. Regardless, I was a huge fan of it, and I would like to see them do something with it. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing Asuka. I look forward to seeing her. You know who I don't look forward to seeing? Omos. I don't look forward to seeing Omos. I don't get it. He's big. He kind of reminds me of Great Khali. Great Khali was around when I was around. And I love that guy. He seems like a really nice person, and he's been in some movies I liked and stuff. But I always felt like he was just kind of like in the ring. I am in the ring. Here I am. Yeah.
But the thing is, Great Khali was like hurting people. Almost is, an athlete. Like, I don't know. I like him.
I think you're not supposed to like him, right?
I think that's true.
But I'm a huge AJ fan, so
that's true too. Yeah.
I like him.
AJ's made him work so well.
I just think that they lean into it too much, but or lean into how big of a monster he is too much, and it is kind of like Because then, just like Shayna Baszler a few, years ago, where she was this unstoppable force, and now she's just nothing. I don't want to say nothing, but she isn't
they're not
as big as. Yeah, she's not as big as monster as she was, and it's like, well, no, that was all just a waste to me.
I feel like they're missing out on using Shayna Baszler like that. I feel like they could be using her in that, like.
Well, see, I think, looking forward, I think she's going to be, what's her name? Sonya Deville's, like, henchman or henchwoman. Or hitman.
The muscle?
Her hitwoman.
That would be
the
good.
heavy, they said, right? The heavy.
I would be good with that.
Because you know what that would end up making her, though? That would end up making her real close to, like, in, like, the kayfabe world, like a female Brock Lesnar or a female Undertaker type, where the GM was constantly being like, I don't like you, you're going to face The Undertaker, you're going to face Brock Lesnar. It was always like, what the fuck? It makes them a monster who can get wins, be violent, look impressive, and not need to be near the title picture necessarily. But then when they do have her on the title picture, it's terrifying because you're like, well, they're insane, and no one's
going to beat them.
Yeah. So it makes it really compelling. That'd actually be a great use for get Shayna as the muscle for Sonya.
Yeah.
Which she's kind of doing. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they should lean into it.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Real quick, I want to throw this out at you, and we'll move on to the next topic, Mr. Beard. I didn't see the clip with Becky there, but there was a clip a while back. It was pre-pandemic. There was a giant meet and greet with a big line that Becky was doing, and some girl or lady, I don't know what their age was, like fainted in the audience in the line, and she saw it. And from the stage, she just ran down there and started caring for the person who had like fainted and helped them up and like got them over to like the platform she was sitting on. And like as she came to, she's like in the arms of Becky, like, and then Becky like had her sit with her for a while and talk to her and like, make sure she's okay and stuff before having her go. But like she was definitely a good person who wants to take care,
I'll say that is the kind of stuff that I love hearing about and that we should always talk about or want to talk about, is that stuff that really humanizes these people that work their ass off and put their bodies on the line to entertain us in this thing that we call, wrestling. So,
well, it's not even just wrestling. It's across the sports world in general. Yeah. Because, I heard of Tony Romo when he was the quarterback for the Cowboys, which, you either love the Cowboys or you hate them. But he went to a game, or he had a game in Dallas. Was driving home on the freeway. He saw a car pulled over that had a flat tire, and it was this mother and her son that were at the game. And he pulled over behind them and helped them change their tire.
So that was Brooks Like. That was actually Brooks Like, a forward for the Washington Capitals that did that. That's a real story. The Tony Romo one is a fake made up one. So you love Tony Romo, but that's not real. But Brooks Like, a forward for the Washington Capitals, actually did do that. And it was after they lost a Game 7 to the Montreal Canadiens. And I can't remember if it was 2010 or 11. It was one of those years. But Brooks Like, look it up. You can read about it. There's an actual news article about it. I don't know if Tony Romo's is fake. I just like if you look behind me, there's a Lawrence Taylor jersey. I happen to be a New York Giants fan. So I like to win 2 games a year, Kev. And that is against the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys. So I love to hate on the Dallas Cowboys. How many Super Bowls did Tony Romo win, by the way? Oh, that's right. He didn't win any.
I'm not a Romo fan. No. But what I'm saying is that people villainized him because he was the Cowboys quarterback.
Right. No, he's a good guy.
I hate them.
Or they villainize him because they saw him last week at a charity dinner and he was drunk off his ass. But they villainize him for that stuff.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. That's what I was trying to get at is the people villainize him because he was a Cowboy for the quarterback for the Cowboys, and he still is a human. Just like any team that you
also
hate.
Say,
and
though,
blah blah blah. you know,
Being the quarterback for the Cowboys makes you about $20 extra million a year, even if you're not good. So
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
you know,
I mean,
Yeah.
as one other point, I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick, who is more politically split and hated by so many people. And when you look about what he does in his personal life, the dude gives more to his community and more to charity than almost anybody across the board. So it's one of those things where it's all like, yeah, you can disagree with a guy, but you know, villainizing somebody when they're trying to do good by their community and when they're just a good person inside, just because you don't agree with them is maybe a step too far than it needs to be. But yeah, it's along those same lines. Like, these people are people, and when they care and they act on what they care about, you got to respect that to a degree, you know.
I agree.
Yep.
What was the next on your list there, Jeremiah?
I wanted to talk a little bit about Goldberg's last match because we hadn't gotten into Goldberg is a very major polarizing figure, I think, in wrestling, because he was a little bit of a Stone Cold knockoff for WCW, right? Except for he kind of wasn't a wrestler, didn't come from that background. He was a football player. He's even admitted he never had any desire to be a wrestler. He just wanted to be a football player.
He still doesn't have any desire to be.
I will say, I have to say, Kev, I thought his last match was really, really good. And I went back and watched it again after Marsh and I talked about it last week. And I really thought he's only got one more match. He's in his 60s. I doubt we see him in the ring after his last match. It sounds like he's willing to go out kind of a little bit on his sword and kind of give good matches to the fans. And I know it happened to be there's some polarizing political stuff with this being in Saudi Arabia, but regardless of the fact, really cool Bobby Lashley to kind of let Goldberg do that. It sounds like he's a really high quality human being behind the scenes too, starting to soften my stance on some of these people as I learn how good of people they are, which I like.
Oh, Bobby's a great dude. Like that's what's so crazy is that he's a good heel, but when he was first kind of becoming a heel, like this last time, like it was kind of hard because you're like, wait, you're
like the nicest,
you're a good dude. Yeah.
We all know you're really nice, dude.
Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah.
You don't believe that.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to throw. We didn't talk about that match specifically, but I think it was like 13 or 11 minutes. It was quite a bit. I mean,
well,
I like
that's
what
I was gonna. Yeah, no, I did too, and that's what I was gonna say is, normally Goldberg matches are, we used to compare them to Roman Reigns matches back in the day. That's one thing you should be happy that you never had to suffer through was Roman matches when he was a face. But it's literally like playing a fucking video game. It's, spear, jackhammer, I win. Yeah. And that's what Goldberg matches have been the last few years. And this last one, I was like, cool. He put on a match. He went back and forth. Like, you also didn't see that when he was concussed last time in Saudi Arabia. Ugh.
No, I read about it, and he talked a little bit about it. I saw and kind of researching the match. He talked a little bit. I believe the match was with Undertaker, and he even apologized to the Undertaker about it because it was so.
Because he almost killed him.
He get concussed in a match. I don't know if it's your fault, but maybe.
No. Well,
it was his fault.
Was his fault. What Goldberg does is when he does his intro, you hear this, they knock on the door, then you hear this thud. The thud is him hitting his head on the door to get his adrenaline going. When he did that in Saudi Arabia, he concussed himself.
He was bleeding.
He gave himself a concussion.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then secondly, it was 100 and something degrees in the middle of the ring. So he's already concussed. He's already sweating. Then he goes and he's supposed to miss a spear against Undertaker and hit the pole.
Into the turnbuckle, yeah.
Into the post. And instead of shoulder checking the post like most people do and fall down, he literally hit it with his head again and started bleeding even worse. So he was just gone all on his own. Like he just did you can watch everything around that and you just go everyone was taking really good care of him and he just kept hurting himself more and more and you're just stop. Yeah. Now I want to say this to Kev real quick. Kev, that Crown Jewel match, Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg.
Yes.
is that not the greatest Goldberg match he's ever had?
I can't think of
a
all of them off the top of my head, but it'll definitely be top 2 or 3 if it's not number 1.
Yeah. I can't exactly. I was even thinking about it. I was like, well, what are some of the best Goldberg matches we've seen? Well, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 25 was pretty solid, but the crowd shit on it so bad it took away from it. But it's a decent match when you watch it with the sound off, and people go back to rewatch it because of the crowd, which is unfortunate. I think of at least Goldberg Brock at WrestleMania because their SummerSlam one. Although the SummerSlam one was pretty cool and explosive, where it was that 30-second match. But it was notable. But when I think of like good match, you got Brock and Goldberg WrestleMania 30. What was it? 35, 36? No, 34. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 34 is
somewhere one of those.
Yeah, is a solid match. But Bobby Goldberg, I think, was his best match, and which is remarkable to think because for so long he's been back putting on stinker after stinker, and you're like, what does he keep doing it for? And then watching that match with Bobby, I was all like, oh, is that what he's been doing it for? Like, because he knows that this is in him and he can get it done, but he needs the right circumstances. Like, everything's got to be perfect around him, which is a bit of a bummer, but if it works, it works. When I think of, like, who better than Bobby? Bobby's in his late 40s, and Bobby's, like, in the most respectful way, a literal freak of nature. You know what I mean? Like, Bobby Lashley looks better than he's like I can't think of a single human being who looks better than Bobby Lashley, especially his age and older. But I think of even younger.
Physique?
Yeah, just physique.
I don't know, Rock's up there, but he's a freak too.
Yeah, Rock is a freak too.
You know who I think is underrated physique wise? That just I like.
Can't
is
wait.
Big E. Big E.
Oh, yeah.
Is like, that dude is a monster. He wears the
insane.
wrestling singlet, but he's like his chest is just ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger chest on a man. You know, like it's
insane.
So
I have, but they've weighed 600 pounds.
That's a good point. That's a good point. The thing that's crazy about Big E right now is you're talking about his physique, and I think he looks better than he's ever looked. He looks bigger than he's ever looked. He's like 35 pounds lighter than he's been since with the WWE. He talked about it on one of the podcasts. He cut like 35 pounds, and he still looks bigger than he's ever looked. And it's just that leanness. His muscles are so big that when he leans it up, the depth of his muscles are insane. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I agree 100% on that.
And I love when Biggie does the dive to the outside.
Yes.
He's just one solid piece of muscle, and he looks like if you took an action figure and threw it and watch it hit off its head and like bounce. That's the way Biggie looks when he takes that dive every time.
Yes.
yeah, they could literally make a mold of him and make like superhero suits as big as that man is for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
insane.
Oh yeah.
I would say the most underrated physique, though, because Biggie, people talk about being Biggie, I think is Xavier Woods. I think he's the single most underrated wrestler, talker, and physique in wrestling because of who he's constantly around. He's not as big as Big E. He's not as tall as Kofi. So when he stands in the ring with both of them, people go, oh, that's the average-looking guy. But I've met that guy in person, and fuck, dude, there's nothing average about that guy. Yeah.
I love him. He's
he's
good.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
In the chat real quick, Grim Reaper does say Goldberg had that Matt Classic against Regal, of course. I don't know if you remember that one, Kev, from WCW. He couldn't get the arm drag right, and
Yeah.
it was really good. It was really good.
So anyway, I wanted to acknowledge Goldberg's match, and I did hearken to some people hearing that it was maybe one of his best matches of all time.
I think it was. If
John
he has
Moxley,
one more, real quick before we do that, if he has one more with for me, for Goldberg, I would want it to be against Big E so much, just because Big E's mentioned it being his personal dream match.
Oh, that would be cool. Well, I know he only has one last match on his contract. Doesn't mean he's not going to wrestle again, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say the guy his age. I mean, if you look at what he looked like in WCW compared to what he is now, he is literally half the man once was.
Yeah.
And he still looks pretty damn good for what, 60? He's in his 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Early.
Yeah, he looks
It'd
jacked.
be like Stone Cold if Stone Cold didn't get dropped on his neck by Owen Hart. He could still be wrestling in some form or another.
Probably.
So
But
anyway,
yeah, I would want it to be Big E. Was there anybody else you guys would want his last match to be against if we know he's going to have a last one?
I don't have a okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Undertaker.
Big E just kind of Big E kind of just makes the most sense, just because.
Yeah.
You know, you think of big dudes.
Yeah.
Of course, WWE would put him up against Drew.
Ugh. McInFart.
So
Drew and his sword.
Okay, so I know you guys both hate Drew McIntyre, and I don't know. I like him. I just like him. I don't know what it is I like about him, but I like him.
You know why you like him? Because you think he's a heel and he's not.
No, I don't think he's a heel. He's a babyface.
What?
He's like
No,
one of
he's
the
a
few
fucking
babyfaces
heel.
on SmackDown.
No,
What?
he's a heel
No.
and a half.
The dude's
You're
such a
also having
fucking
some-
heel.
that's-
He comes
that's
out and has an
another thing.
open challenge for no reason.
Wait,
Go ahead.
here's your homework for this week, Beard. Watch, let's say what, Royal Rumble, what was it, 19? 20. 20. Watch Royal Rumble 20 up until now, just all of the Drew matches and his storyline, and you're going to be like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Oh, wait, is Royal Rumble 20 the one he won?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that. I just watched that. I just watched it.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
have
you know what pissed... No,
because
it's
Brock
great.
Lesnar started.
You
That's
know-
the one that Brock Lesnar started,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
he threw
Brock
out
Lesnar
on
did awesome.
almost everybody.
Yeah, it was great.
And then
Yeah.
and
But you
then-
know what's funny is going into that one, I called Drew. I was like, hey, I think Drew's going to win this one.
right?
He can use the push. He's hungry. He gets it. And then after that, just straight downhill.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but I'll just say this: from what I saw in ring, knowing the concurrent storylines, I enjoyed it.
No, the Rumble was fine. It's
Yeah, but
after that went downhill.
Okay, so when you tell me to watch the Royal Rumble 20, which I did watch, I'm not gonna know the post storylines if I don't watch.
Well, that's what he's
I gotta know those.
He was
Yeah.
kind of messing around saying, like, watch everything he did after that. Because if you watch from 2020 on, every Drew segment, there's like the steady decline of just absolute pompousness, arrogance, just total dickish stuff. He did at one point, Heath Slater gets released from his contract, and he convinces the company legit to bring back Heath Slater for one spot with him on Raw. And
Because
he comes
they were
back.
a 3-man band, I'm sure you
Yeah,
remember.
because they were in a tag
Him and
together a long
Jinder.
time ago. And
Oh,
so
no, I
he
don't
gets
know. I don't even know who Heath Slater is.
right. I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of nice guys, Heath Slater.
Yeah, Heath Slater, nice guy, does it for his kids. So he gets let go. Drew gets them to bring back Heath Slater for one Raw so he can shine, right? So Heath Slater comes back in the best shape of his life, cuts this crazy awesome promo about Drew McIntyre and how his ego's gotten the better of him and he's not the man he used to be and they used to be friends and you don't even talk to me anymore kind of a deal. And then Drew was all like, I'll give you an opportunity of a lifetime and let you have a shot at this title. And Heath Slater's like, okay, let's do it. And then Drew just one move destroys him, pins him, and then just like stands on top of him. And you're like, what a fucking dick. Like, why'd you have to do that?
So, but they let him do that too, right? So
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they let him do that too. I don't know. I know I'm with you.
It's just
But
a dick
at the
thing to
same
do.
time, they've talked about them being like legit friends too, kind of like the Becky Charlotte thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well-
as a legit friend, like if we're doing this podcast and we're saying, hey, Marsh is out, fuck him, just me and Beard. And then I'm like, wait, let's have Marsh on one more time. And then we don't let him get a single word out. That's
Yeah,
just
and then
being
cut
a
the
fucking
feed.
asshole.
Yeah, and then you just cut the feed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
The
Marsh,
only-
one last.
Yeah.
The only problem there is Ref Marsh runs the show. So
No, 100%. But
gone.
I'm just saying, like, I'm
Yeah.
just using that as an example. But that's like, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to
Dick
start
move.
our AEW wrestling on the rocks, right? Anyway.
Oh, that's Thursdays. Bishop
But
says
no,
he doesn't
I watched-
fantasy book, which is really nice because we didn't ask him to. Secondly,
So,
Secondly, we were asking if you saw one more Goldberg match, who would you want to see it against? Isn't a fantasy booking storyline. It's just what might be a nice match to watch. It's like a video game match. It's not fucking. We're not trying to get deep about it. I just want to see him against Big E. Okay, so go ahead, Sports Beard. What was the next topic on your list there? Let's keep going.
John Moxley came out and admitted that he did crack, and and T's and P's to him, he is entering alcohol treatment. I don't know John Moxley. I know he's a wrestler in AEW. He was a wrestler in WWE, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe
anyway,
it.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers to him and his family while he gets sober as we drink booze.
100%. Well, I mean, hey, we've talked about it 1,000 times. It's not about what you're drinking; it's about who you're drinking with.
Yeah.
We have sober Clump. Clump is a recovering alcoholic every day of his life. He's on the show with us every week, having coffee and soda with us, because the idea is that we're together and we're not pressuring each other to do anything nobody wants to do, and that there's no reason why you can't be friends with people who have different sides of it and be supportive of that. And that's what I think he needs, is that support. And 100%. If you're that far in, or you think you need it, then you definitely need it, because you don't start to think it until you're way past needing it. You know what I mean?
100%. I 100% agree with you. And I think honestly, a stigma can be attached to a friend who quits drinking if you don't change your lifestyle a little bit and you don't want to spend any time with that friend anymore. And I think you should reconsider those. Anybody that's going through that anyway. That's just me. Again, what do I know? I just think it's a. So, quick rumor mill on AEW maybe considering a streaming service through Barstool Sports, which I find is interesting. I know Barstool is always trying to expand their brand. Those that don't know, Pat McAfee started at Barstool after he retired from. I was really interesting to read about and listen about the Bray Wyatt Fire Funhouse comes to life. The more I learn about Bray Wyatt, the more depressed I get, knowing that he won't be in the WWE. I feel like it's missing that ominous bad guy like Kane or the Undertaker.
Taker.
I guess that's Roman Reigns right now, but like I love that little supernatural. There's always something gonna be scary with the supernatural thing. And from what I know about Bray Wyatt, he kind of started off as like this backwoods crazy, and then there was a bunch of them, right? So anyway, I really am sad I missed that, because that seemed like it was probably really good. So
real good.
Before you keep running through this stuff, before anybody has a chance to comment, I will say that Sam Roberts on Not Sam Wrestling on his YouTube channel will be releasing shortly a video on Bray Wyatt's entire storyline in WWE. And once that's out, I'll send it your way so you can take a look at it. He breaks down the entire run of Bray Wyatt, and he's done a really good job with it. It's really cool. But to go back one other step, I'm definitely going to send it to you when it gets released. But the other thing about Mox, I wanted to ask you, Kev. Mox just like yesterday or today it actually finally hit book stands. You could get it if you pre-ordered it a day or two early. But there's a Mox book out now that he wrote, and people have been sharing excerpts from it, and it's like, it sounds like his voice for sure, but it's filled with a ton of crazy expletives, and he's just going off the chain. And people are like, oh, this is awesome. It's unhinged. It's pure Mox. I'm wondering if it's going to end up with a different light on it, knowing that when he wrote that, he was largely under a negative influence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder about it. I wonder how much that even comes through. I mean, because you have to have a ghostwriter, right? There's got to be somebody who helps you with it.
I mean, maybe. I mean, he could have wrote it himself.
That's true.
Normally they have
editor.
I didn't think kind of like somebody that paraphrases things, and like an editor that puts it out there. I forgot what they're called though. It's not a ghostwriter or co-writer. It's called something else.
Yeah.
Or forwarded by. It's always like, hey, it's this, but forwarded by this guy type of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, to think of the dates when he wrote it, would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people. Go ahead.
I was going to say, once again, there's the old adage of, the drunk mouth speaks what the sober mind thinks or whatever, or however it goes.
Yeah, that's
You know,
true,
so
too.
maybe it was his way to like, hey, I can't say this, or normally I wouldn't say this, but here I'm saying it right now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious on the other side, what he'll think about the book or what he'll say about it. And I'm not trying to like discourage anything about it whatsoever. A lot of people are buying it right now because they want to support him and show that there's support and love for him. And I think that's great. And I think that the read in and of itself is going to be interesting either way. He's got a great story, really a unique mind, anyways, and a very unique way of speaking. So I think it'd probably be interesting read. But knowing now what we do, it makes me wonder what that book's going to be looked upon later on. You know what I mean? Or how he'll even receive it. You know?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry there, Chris. What was Moxley's main like wrestling persona? Like, explain it to me. Like, I don't know because I don't.
The lunatic fringe is what he was in WWE.
Yeah.
He was the crazy person.
like the song by Argent, Lunatic Fringe. I know you're out there. That song where you want to be driving like a '67 Chevelle on I-90 going 150.
Yes,
like that song.
That's 100% him. Yeah, he was like this crazy. Go ahead.
No, I was just trying to think of somebody that we could relate to him. You know, that wrestled back in the day.
Oh.
I almost want to think kind of like a Raven or Sandman.
Yeah, little Raven and Sandman.
Mixed between the two.
Back in ECW.
Sandman was wild, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, he was like that.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, he had to be a little bit more watered down just because it was the PG era. You couldn't just bleed whenever you wanted to, and you couldn't smoke and have beer. But he would have. As soon as he hit the Indies after leaving WWE, he did. He started coming out drinking. He would take pictures all the time with cigarettes and bottles of Jack Daniels and stuff. And you're like, oh, he's crazy. He's hardcore. He's doing his thing. So,
but he was he was a true artist of his craft.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, that house show where he got knocked out?
Yeah.
In the main event.
Yeah.
And they said he laid on the mat for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Just laid there while they're tearing everything down. Looking back at it now.
Yeah, at this point.
You were there. You were there. And he just passed out. And so, like, they keep the show going?
It was the main event. So they just went off air and they were just
tearing the main event. And
they tore down the set.
Yeah, they were tearing down the ring and stuff.
Oh, okay. So they ended the show on him being knocked out. But as he was there. So did you stay in the crowd to see if he ever got up?
No. People posted.
I read about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grim Reaper says in the chat, it's always okay to ask for help, and said Mox Heart. 100%, man. And I feel for his family. He just had a baby just months ago. So I'm wondering, I hope if nothing else,
for the kid.
Yeah, that he looked in that kid's eyes and went, I can't be this. This kid deserves better. And I hope that he gives that kid better. And I think that he will. I think that he's a fighter in every sense of the term. And I think that he'll be out on the other side. I'm going to be really curious to know, to hear from him on the other side of it all. Son of a bitch. Fucking I couldn't catch it. This bug just went right into my drink. Just walked in on the side, slow as fuck.
Yeah.
They walked in?
Hey, so let me tell you, that's a beauty about living in Alaska in the wintertime. There are no such thing as bugs.
That's funny.
They do not live.
That's true.
Hey,
it walked in. It landed on my cup and then slowly walked down the side, as I was trying to catch it. It's a piece of shit. But to circle back a little bit, yeah, I think that Mox is an absolute fighter. I'm going to be really curious to hear what he has to say on the other side, and nothing but support. And I think that I said it in a group chat with me, Kevlar, and Clump. There's a really good chance on the other side of this, he just becomes all of our hero, because we've all liked him so much at different iterations of his career. And Clump, obviously going through his own sobriety, I'm sure is going to connect to him on a deeper level than he ever did before. Like, he's got a ton of fan support, and I don't think that's going to shake or waver as he gets better. And I think that a lot of people are rooting for him, and I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the guy, and as somebody that's been outspoken about my own mental health battles and stuff, I don't look at those any different than like drug or alcohol. Mm-hmm. So, and I just know that, and some people have mental health problems and medicate with drug and alcohol.
Yes.
So that could be part of it. So hopefully he finds out what works for him, and I'm rooting for the guy again. I only put it on here because I really wanted to. And in that note, too, thoughts and prayers, T's and P's, as the great Pat McAfee would say, for Jim Ross and his skin cancer diagnosis. Sounds like he's really not concerned about it. Like he feels like he's going to beat it and have the time to beat it and everything. Yeah. So I wanted to ask.
Well, and also on that note, with I don't know if you guys talked about it last week, but Hacksaw.
Yeah, he's got was it prostate cancer, right?
Prostate, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's if they catch you with that though, that usually means not good. That's usually not good.
He was rushed to a couple of surgeries real quick, so hopefully it means good stuff. But I don't know.
Well, how old is Hacksaw? I mean, he's like 105.
That sounds about right.
Been around
about right.
Like,
you ever take 5 years?
Like, there are wrestlers that are like, he's still alive. Like, it's like that's insane.
105, yeah.
Oh, dude, Hacksaw is a legend. Love Hacksaw. Nothing wrong. Oh, Hacksaw is a legend. Love Hacksaw.
Hacksaw is 67.
Yeah. So there was a couple issues I had with Monday Night Raw, and nothing overtly negative. I wasn't sure about I'm the face of Monday Night Raw. Like that felt a little bit like not necessary. First, it's Seth Rollins, and it's big.
But as a hockey fan, you should like a face-off.
Gotcha.
So I get
idiot.
And I want to punch you in the face really hard because you can also be a John Woo fan. Face off the movie. No, it was so dumb. It wasn't even. Get to the wrestling. Like, I'm the face of Raw. You know who will ultimately be the face of Raw? The wrestler that wins over the fans. And I felt it was just wasted. It was just wasted ear garbage, ear pollution. Turn that shit off, as my grandpa would say. I don't want to hear that hippie music. It's Simon and Garfunkel. You just gotta relax. Like it's not.
Welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw's Carla.
This is what you. But the thing, you know what it reminded me of with the I'm the face. It sounded like if NFL players were fighting to say who's going to be the cover player for Madden.
Which
that's what it reminded me of.
Because there's a curse.
The curse, yeah.
So, actually, Patrick Mahomes took the curse and wiped his ass with it and burned it. Because he won this, I think he won the Super Bowl or something when he was on the cover. He won the NFL MVP. He was not injured anyway. So, his curse is just delayed. Okay, maybe delayed. Okay. That could just be getting married. Anyway, there was a weird transition with Randy Orton and Omos. I was wondering, I think Randy Orton was like, I'm done with this. Like, they interrupted. I don't know. Maybe it was, I think they were running long, probably because too many idiots were talking about how they were the face of Raw, and they pushed a bunch. I really truly think if you were a production standpoint, I think they crammed too much of I'm the face of Raw, and I don't know if that match where they had that tag team thing where Randy and RK Bro came out, which they're great. Anyway, that was interesting. I did want to say though,
I don't want you to say what you're going to say next because we still have to cover the last two things you just said. So we have to respond to those things. You're giving us good stuff and then moving through, man. So the face-off thing, hold my beer. The face-off thing was a battle of the egos. They're just trying to show that there's a whole lot of egos to give a reason on why they all hate each other in the ways that they do, and they all think each other's are dicks, right? So they can. It's just solidifying that. But I think what happened with Omos and RKO and Kevlar, tell me what you thought about it. It felt like to me it was the opposite. That they had too much time to kill, that the camera was supposed to end before Randy Orton was getting close and then backing up, that it was Orton's not supposed to get involved with him. But also Orton knows that if the camera's on him, he can't just stand there like afraid of him. Like he's fucking Randy Orton. So he had to start playing it up, and he kept thinking like, when are you guys gonna turn that fucking red light off? And that's why he like throws his shirt down and he's like, come on, let's do it. And he's like trying to pace because it felt like he was trying to kill time because he was given too much time, and that it was supposed to end easily like 40 seconds before he even really got up from commentary. Like it felt like it went on way too long. Kev, what was your read on that? Do you think he had too much time or not enough time? Was it cut too soon or dragged out?
I was just confused from it. I didn't know if that was supposed to be on purpose or not. Like, I'm kind of just France right now. I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
It was
Correct
awkward.
me if I'm
It
wrong.
was awkward. Go
RKO,
ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Hold on. RK Bro came out to a new song.
Yes.
But it was a new song, a new intro, everything. So, that's why I was confused. I was like, they're debuting a new song. Why wouldn't they give it a little air to breathe? It really felt choppy, guys. I think there was somebody effed up behind the scenes. It felt like a production thing.
Well, you know what's funny is I didn't even notice that they got a new song.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it. It was definitely a new song. And even Orton made mention of it as he's walking out. He like kind of goes to the ear and he's like, "Oh, do you see that?" He's like, "Ah." Like, I agree too. I thought it was a weird way to debut a new song. It wasn't even for their entrance, so they really couldn't do much. So I agree. They should have been in a match.
They didn't even need to debut the song because they weren't even competing. But they wanted to debut, like the WWE wanted to debut the new song for Randy and Riddle. So they did it, but anyway, I didn't want to be completely negative about Raw. I did want to say I loved the KO and Big E post-match fight stuff was awesome. I just thought, this is great. You didn't like it at all, huh, Kev?
What, the KO and Biggie stuff? I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was so good. KO is one of the absolute greatest on the mics. Just absolutely natural. Go ahead.
Him getting drafted to Raw was probably the single best brain switch.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a huge
because
fan.
he's been floundering around in SmackDown, and it's like sucked because everyone's like, oh, I feel like this is a wasted talent, this and that, and then he goes to Raw and he's immediately, in like the main events and stuff, and so great.
Well, let me ask you guys.
I think that's the problem with KO. And then we'll get to your question. We're going to get your question right now. But I think the problem with KO is he's so good and so believably in the main event. The whole time he was on SmackDown, he was constantly in the main event until it didn't make sense for him to be in the main event anymore. And it's like, well, now what do we do with someone who's this good? And that's when it feels like he starts to flounder. So moving him over to Raw, it's like, okay, cool. New Raw main events. Let's get him in there. My concern is what happens after the Big E match. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah. But what I'm saying with him floundering there, it's not so much that he was in the title picture or whatever. Like, he was just in wonky storyline after storyline.
That's true.
It was almost like, hey, who do we need? Hey, KO can perform. Boom.
And he did.
Put him on.
And he did.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, now we need somebody to fill in. Who do we have? Okay, KO. Yeah. He even filled in on commentary when McAfee had COVID.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, he was just a fill-in dude.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
No, my question is, it just feels like to me, and I guess you could say this about any of the wrestling organizations out there right now, is they're just so saturated with so much good talent that they just don't have the time to display it all. I almost feel like they just need to take some of these wrestlers out of the stable and let them have a break for a bit, and then bring them back while giving others, like, just almost do like a quarterly storyline that you just pick up, like, and then a 3-month break, and then you come back to it. I mean, like, I feel like once you feel like the fans are gonna, like, oh, we're almost sick of this shit. Like, I'm sick of Roman Reigns already. I haven't even been back long, and I'm like, okay, Roman Reigns can go away for a while. Like, but then point. If you look at the chats and stuff that I'm in, they're like, Roman Reigns is the only reason to watch the WWE. Like, so I don't know.
I wouldn't go as far as that guy. But you haven't suffered through, 6-7 years of Roman just being the face and being pushed over everything, that you like this version of Roman.
I don't like this version.
No, but you need to
Yeah.
because
He doesn't like bad
Like-
guys, Kev.
yeah, like
No, I get. I
so
get
basically, the easiest way I could,
well, Kev, can I cut you off
compare to you.
real
Well,
quick?
no, real quick. No, real quick. The easiest way I can compare it to is Hogan being pushed in WWF so much, so hard, but the crowd not 100% behind him, and then he goes over and switches to Hollywood, and shit actually makes a difference. Plus, his matches are different. Plus, the way he performs is different. Like,
That's a good
like I
point.
said, Roman used to be the modern day Goldberg, where he would just go in there, Superman punch, spear, Superman punch, match is over.
No, I know. I remember. I'll just tell you as I'm getting back in and I'm watching some of this stuff. I saw a thing where John Cena goes to Roman. He goes, "Yeah, Roman, it's called a promo. You're gonna have to learn how to do it." And he did it like in ring. I was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" I'm so sad I missed this.
And
Oh, yeah.
and you know what's even sad about that?
We shit
is
our pants when that happened.
When
It was
that
great.
happened, we said
Right.
that was the best Roman promo we have ever seen.
yeah, right. Yeah.
So like, so put it to compare it. It's like, all right, cool. Roman right now, he's supposed to get on your nerves. That's what heels do, and I think you're getting worked right now, which is great.
Yeah.
But like this version of Roman is the best Roman that we've ever seen.
It's really close to the end. Like the only problem with the Hogan comparison is that Hogan reached heights as a babyface that Roman did not. However,
Yeah, true.
towards the end
Well, that's
of
why I said
Hogan's,
the crowd not being behind him.
which was towards the end of his run in WWF, like right towards the end there, the crowd started to boo on Hogan. They were sick of Hogan's shit. So he left, went to WCW, and was sort of floundering there as a good guy too, because people were all like, "Yeah, we don't want Hogan." Then he turned NWO, and then everyone's all like, "We fucking love Hogan."
Right.
You know what I mean?
New World Hollywood Hogan, New World Hogan is probably the most popular Hogan. But
Yes.
no, but let me say this, and I get that. I understand. But wasn't Roman kind of a babyface with the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins,
Shield.
the Shield thing? Weren't they
Yeah.
sort of heelish, but like the fans like come out of the crowd and
Well, that's the weird, unfortunate part about Roman Reigns, right? Is they were huge, they were popular, they were basically a movement, and during all that, the whole crowd was
They were
behind
comic
Roman.
book.
Whatever Roman did, they cheered and like, that's our guy. Our guy is the Roman in this. And then as the company was like, oh, Roman's the guy, everyone went, no, that's not what we meant. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And they
Well,
turned
see,
on him
and-
pretty quick.
Yeah, because the reason why I say that they were comic book was because they were the Hounds of Justice, and their whole point was to protect the title. You know, they were
Yep.
supposed to protect the title. You know, keep it out of the hands of the bad guys.
right.
Yeah, and you know, there was this like Marsh said. There's this huge thing that movement that hey Roman, and I think it was because like we've said before, he looks like an action figure.
Yeah.
Like he's like holy shit, like that looks like an action figure, created character on WWE 2K, you know, that looks like Roman.
The first time I saw him,
So
I was
then
like,
once-
Jesus Christ, this guy's perfect for this. I hadn't even heard him talk or move yet. I just saw him walk
Yeah.
out, and I went, fuck, this guy's perfect.
And then you heard him talk and move, and you're like, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, well, perfect. But like
But-
as an
but
action
then when
figure,
they-
where they don't have to talk and move.
But when they switched or split the what the fuck were they called?
The Shield.
Shield.
The Shield. Damn, I damn near said Ascension. Anyways, when they split the Shield, I think people realized that Ambrose, Moxley, and Seth were kind of like the dudes on it.
Yes.
They were the athletic ones, this and that. You know, Roman, similar to Goldberg, you know, I don't think ever wanted to be a wrestler. Where Moxley or Ambrose and Rollins did.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I saw an interview with Seth Rollins on Stone Cold things, and he talked about
The
how
Stone Cold drink along.
What?
The Stone Cold drink along.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it's a drink. Broken
the
Soul is our
Soul
drink along.
session.
Yeah, we drink
Anyway,
along to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When they have a drink, I have a drink.
little bit of a drink along. Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah. So anyway, Rollins talked about how he started like 14, like, you know, doing ladder matches in his backyard and shit. Yeah, like I get that. Like you could tell, you know, and I think it's evident too. Like, you know, I say I hate Seth Rollins, but it's because he's so good at what he's doing as a heel, and he's like obnoxious. You can tell the guys that love the business in the ring. Yes. Like that's very evident. Like I like that.
Yeah, I think the saddest story in wrestling is that Seth Rollins has never been able to be a successful babyface, and it's sad because he is the biggest one of us there is in that business. Like no one. Like he's an Uber fan. Yeah, he is absolutely one of us in every way, and loves it so much and takes it so seriously. And for whatever reason, every time he's tried to be a babyface, it has not worked, and it hasn't clicked in such a way that it's just kind of sad. It sucks.
Oh, the internet went out in Arizona.
Cavs. Yeah. I mean, his couch is back, so I don't know what that means, but we'll see how it plays out.
He's getting a refill.
Yeah, it's all right. He can get a refill.
I really like the KO Big E post-match stuff. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I should have
love that stuff.
I read news that. Oh, did you want to respond?
Yeah, something about Raw. I wanted to get your guys' take on real quick. The Queen Zelina and her like falling in and out of a British accent is driving producer absolutely mad. She hates it. And I love it because I think it's super obnoxious. What I can't tell, and this is my favorite part, is I can't tell if Zelina thinks she's actually doing in real life a great job at a British accent and it's just slipping when she doesn't know, or if she's intentionally just doing a generic British accent and letting it drop from time to time. Because
it has to be on purpose, right?
I feel like it has to be on purpose, but I feel like even if it's not, it's still fucking perfect. But I love it.
Gotta be on purpose.
Kev, what do you think of it?
Kev, you're muted.
Kev, I can't hear you.
Kev,
oh man,
we can't hear you. I can even see that you muted your Zoom, brother.
Oh, it says mute on the screen over there. That's fine.
Yeah, he muted himself. You got to unmute yourself.
I never touched it.
You did it.
Fucking crazy.
Well, it muted. Oh. It was muted.
All right. Well, anyways, when I think of accents, the one that I think of recently is Lana.
Yeah.
And when she came out and tried the Russian, and then would slip up, I think that was accidental. I think with Zelina, it's on purpose.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree.
You know, she's doing it. I think she's doing it on purpose to get under people's skins. You know, I think producers are getting worked by it.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, you know, is that an accent? And then I hear it, and then, you know, she walks away and, you know, fuck that ugly bitch or whatever the fuck she said. You know, and she's got like her kind of New York accent back. And it was like, oh yeah, that's on purpose right there. That's beautiful.
Well, beyond that moment in of itself, there's times where she's doing the British accent. Oh, hello, my people. And then every now and again, she'll say something like coffee in the middle of all that. And you're like, okay, hold on. Yeah. But I think I think that she's just not beholden to that accent. And I think that it's great because of that. I think it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think producers getting worked. She gets so mad. Like it's one of the few things that will actually get her to go like, oh, like, just out of pure frustration, and I think it's so good. I think Carmella and Zelina are both actually really good to move to Raw. I'm gonna be honest, since the draft, I think the Raw has been very easy to watch.
Yeah, it's because all the SmackDown talent is over there.
That's what I'm saying. They brought all the good talent over.
Hey,
yeah,
Kev,
and there's parts of SmackDown that I cannot stand right now.
Yeah,
it's water. Hey, Kev, I do hear everything you're saying. Steph's got you guys out in the living room on the 82-inch. So when I go out to get a refill, I can still hear what you're saying and everything. So I'm seeing everything.
All right. Well, we weren't trying to talk behind your back, if that's what you think.
No, I just don't. I feel really. No, I feel rude almost getting up and getting another drink, but
No, we do that.
That's the point.
That's the whole point.
There's only 2 of us, it's awkward. But when there's 3 of us,
Yeah.
So I
that's
just
the
don't
best
want,
part about 3 of
I
us.
just want you guys to know, like, I'm listening to what you're saying, because of the people that want to hear the opinions and are trying to learn the stuff, you know where we're at in the world of WWE.
Yeah.
I want you to feel like I'm actually giving you the.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
Me and
yeah.
Kev both have Bluetooth headphones in, so we can get up and walk away and still hear what's going on.
Well, I didn't do the
I'm-
Bluetooth, which I can. I can totally do the Bluetooth, but I just. Steph wants to watch the show.
That's
for
weird.
sure. I'm not going to get offended if you do not respond directly to me
That's a good
right
point.
when I say something.
That's also a good point. Let's see. So
But what
that's what I want. Go ahead, Kev.
I was just going to get on my topic of what I hate about SmackDown. And it's the 2 people I hated on Raw are Drew McIntyre and Charlotte.
Dude, 100%. Dude, this Drew McIntyre self-indulgent open challenge is horrible.
Love it.
But for what?
I don't know why.
He's a open.
So here's what I'll tell you. Can I say something?
But what I'm real quick, when he says, "Hey, I'm opening up a open challenge," what does the other person gain from it?
That's okay.
I just
so
like.
Stop
I just
there.
like,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
So,
Sportsbeard.
okay, so to me, Scottish guy, I am William Wallace. Like, here I am. I like him coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm a bad motherfucker, and I'm gonna lay down my bad motherfucker." What's his kick? They call the Claymore. The Claymore, which is just what was that called back in the day? I don't know why. What?
A bad drop
It's
kick?
just a drop kick. It's just a bad drop
not
kick.
the drop kick to where you kick someone in the face. They had a name for it.
No,
And
it's
somebody
not.
had it as like finishing move.
It's no. You're thinking of the super kick or the sweet chin music, but it's
yeah,
not.
Sweet Chin Music,
That was a
yeah.
side kick. This is literally a drop kick that he
And-
fucked up, and he turned it into
Yeah,
his
it's a
finisher,
kick to the face.
but with both
No.
legs in the air.
So the
oh.
way Drew McIntyre got the Claymore was he was with 3-man band at the time, right?
Yes.
So he had these
Yeah.
super tight leather pants on,
Yep.
and he went to do a super kick, right?
No, it was the
He
big
went to-
boot where you're just the big boot where you.
Oh
yeah.
Kick
Yeah.
where you're
No, no,
completely
so-
sideways.
Yeah, but it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
He was doing the big boot
So-
where you just put your foot up in front of you.
Like Diesel and Andre, all the dudes used to do
Charlotte
it back
does
in the
it.
day. Yeah, so he went to do the big boot, but his pants were too tight, so it lifted his
Other
planted leg up, and he fell on his back. And then ever since then, they're like, "That's your finisher."
Yeah, but he replayed
And he
it.
started wearing the short pants.
Yeah, he stopped wearing the tight leather pants because he went to lift up one leg, the other leg went with it, and he did this kind of like 2-foot drop kick and landed on his back, and it just happened to look good the way that it happened, and he was all like, "Oh, okay, this is gonna be my new move. I'm gonna master it.
This is my Claymore.
Yeah,
But speaking of, I forgot what you guys said earlier, but once again, stuff you've missed, Mr. Beard, is you haven't seen any of Drew's story times.
Oh, stop.
Oh, when you said William Wallace.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
yeah, his cousin or some
he
shit.
He talks about, oh, my cousin, Mr.
William.
McIntyre the Fifth, whatever,
Used to
went
go
after
drinking with
Lockheed.
William Wallace all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And we went after Loch Ness Monster. And this is how the shield came up for old Angela here that I named after my mom. Like, fucking ridiculous.
I am. Bishop's in the chat saying that we've seen it for almost 2 years and we're done with it. Beard loves it and he's only seen it for 2 months. But
Yeah.
Well,
The funny thing-
look, I accept criticism. I just like him. He's likable
That's fine.
to me.
I agree.
Hey, look, there's a reason the guy's on WWE. I'm just telling you. And it might be because of you two, the diehard fans hate him. I'll just say that.
Maybe.
And so I don't mind him. And look, as a guy when I came back, I was like, I'm just gonna watch SmackDown. I'm in my 40s. Okay. Let's not get too crazy here. And now I'm watching Raw, and I have the Peacock package where I can watch the pay-per-views.
And you're on a podcast.
I just dude, I like hockey too much, man. I watch 10 to 15 games of hockey a week.
Yeah.
So like I don't care who the teams are. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch the Kraken, I'm going to watch the Capitals, but I'm going to watch the Yotes because I'm a closet Yotes fan too. Like I was a fan when they moved them from Winnipeg. I love
Winnipeg. Yeah.
Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick are two American legends. They're two of the greatest players to ever play for the America. And Keith, unlike Jeremy, went out and had two kids that are so good. They're better than they're not better than he was. He scored over 500
Keith
goals.
was a man.
But Matthew and Brady are both really good. Matthew looks like his dad, like spitting image. Like he looks like.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay,
the rumor is, if you didn't hear, Matthew may be part of the trade from the Flames to the Sabres. Right. So that's interesting if this Jack Eichel thing goes down. Also, another great American player, Jack Eichel. But I digress. We're talking about wrestling, and I'm not gonna die defending Drew McIntyre. I'm just gonna tell you I like him. I think that guy's a movie star.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a movie star, but he's fantastic at what he does. The thing is that his character is such a dick, and it's weird that they play him up as a good guy. Because here's the deal, like Kev alluded to a minute ago, an open challenge is when you're giving someone the opportunity. Typically, it's only been done with champions, a U.S. championship holder, an Intercontinental championship holder, even a World Championship holder.
Though he's been a universal
but he's
champion.
not now.
But not the current one.
It's always been a current champion.
Do something with him, though, right? If he's on the roster and they're paying him, I think this is the problem. Guys, this is what I was saying earlier. We have too many wrestlers. It's oversaturated. He's a guy that should be on break right now because his character is. They could do something good with it. I don't know, man. I get what you're saying. I just like, to me, I like what I see from him. He's not unlikable to me. And I don't think he's unlikable, there's probably a lot of people that don't think he's unlikable. You're diehard wrestling.
But the thing is that it's you're taking it for base value what you've seen lately. Like
how
promos.
else am I going to do it if I don't have anything to compare?
No, 100%. But like his promos, in the past 2 years have been very heelish. His movements, the way he interacts with the fans, the other wrestlers is very heelish.
But again,
dripping in
Kev,
ego.
I don't know any of that if I'm just coming.
No,
back
100%. And
that's
what I'm trying to explain.
So I'm just telling you what I see with my own two eyes in front of me.
And that's what I'm telling you. Yeah, you're taking it for base value because this is what you're seeing. But like I said, your homework this week is to go watch 2 years of Drew McIntyre.
And not be sick of him.
I'll look at the thing. Yeah. I mean, I want to watch the Bray. I will be honest with you. I really want to watch the Bray Wyatt stuff because
100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the Bray Wyatt
entertaining.
stuff, but
It's
I'm just gonna
actually good.
But I'm just gonna say, like, who cares if I like him?
No, we're just trying to have a conversation. We get what you're saying.
Obviously don't like him. You know what? The more you don't like him makes me want to like him even more.
Because you're the fan of the heels.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the heels. I like the baby faces. But
that's the exact reason why you ripped apart Adam Pearce on Twitter and then complained about it.
Yeah, you tore him apart because you're a heel. No,
no,
you tore him apart like a pair of pants.
If I was a wrestler, I would definitely be a heel. But I would just say, I just want to say, like, I feel like, he doesn't come across unlikable to me.
Okay,
I think
we get that. We're trying to explain why he does to us.
Well, no, you didn't. I mean, I got it from the moment go that why you guys don't like him. I get why you don't like him.
Why don't we like him?
You're making me feel like I have to defend why I do like
No.
him.
What I've been trying to say is that I definitely understand what's likable about him because on his way to that Royal Rumble, we were behind him. We said, why is he not the Universal Champion? Why isn't this guy the World Champion? This guy's got a look about him. This guy's got so much about him that's going really well. He's good on the mic. He's great in the ring. He puts it all out there. But everything he did after that became more and more really egotistical and not just confident. Because there's a difference between confidence and like an arrogant bastard. And that's what he's becoming more and more of. So at this point, we're kind of like, we're ready to turn on him. Like we're waiting for the heel turn because we're ready for it. Because the thing is like, there's a difference between someone you don't like and don't want to see at all. Which there are wrestlers out there who we don't want to see at all for even seconds. But there's also something to be said about the people that you just want to boo and want to see them get their ass kicked. And that's pretty much where we are with Drew. He's good in the ring. He can get it done. So I want to see him wrestle, but I want to see him lose. I want to see him get his ass kicked. I want him to see him get humbled. You know what I mean? Like, we're ready for that turn because he's been dropping all this heavy ego stuff. And what I was saying was that with this open challenge, it's, to me, nailed in the coffin. What a egotistical bastard. He's out here without a title saying, I'm going to give anyone the opportunity to be in the ring with me because that should mean everything to anybody. Like, he's bigger than a championship, that he's more important than any other title out there, that these people shouldn't be worried about trying to get a world title shot. They should be worried about trying to get a free match with Drew because you can really prove yourself here, pal. And it's just an ego-driven move, not even like with the typical open challenge, it's a fighting champion move. It's, I'm going to prove I'm a fighting champion.
And you know what this reminds me of back in the day is like the pose-offs against the Lex Lugers or the Rick Rude,
yeah.
which were heel moves. And once again, this is a heel move from a face that they refuse to admit that he's a heel.
Yeah.
You know, the Master Lock challenge, I'm trying to think of other shit, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's always been heels that have done that.
Yeah. And
it's saying, I'm so good at this thing, can you prove that you're better at me than this thing? Is the I'm better than you are, not a I'm giving an opportunity, I'm being a fighting champion, I'm going to be a noble champion. There's nothing noble about going out there and saying, I can kick anyone's ass in the entire locker room, I'll prove it, come out here and I'll kick your ass.
Yeah.
It's not a noble
next
thing.
Open challenge goes to the highest bidder on eBay.
I want to see someone get the open challenge and then just beat the shit out of him.
Right? That's because it's a heel move, and that's what you want to see. You want to see somebody break the Master Lock challenge. You want to see, you know, somebody to outpose Rick Rude. Yeah. You know, you want that because you want somebody to defeat the heel. You never want your face to lose.
100%. So do you see where we're coming from? It's not that we don't like him necessarily. We think he's a really good performer, but we're ready to boo him.
No. Okay, that's awesome. I like hearing that you think he's a good wrestler. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. Because that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like he is a good wrestler, and I like his persona. How is it any different than who's this kid they're bringing up with like the selfie thing that came from NXT?
Austin Theory?
Yeah, he's doing the same thing.
He's a heel.
He's doing this,
but he's a heel.
He's a heel.
Right. But it's like I hate him. He's horrible.
Yeah.
He's like a fucking millennial. I want to fucking punch.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But that's the whole point. He's the.
But
heel.
I don't hate
the person.
There's nothing. I don't.
That's what we're confused by. Because it's also because we agree with you. He's doing the same exact thing, but you hate one and not the other. But they're both doing the same thing. You even admitted it.
Yeah, but I don't. I guess psychologically, I don't feel that way, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I.
You know what I think it is? I'm gonna get deep on this one. Knuckle deep. What I think it is, because I've been saying it for a while about old Drew McInFart. Okay. He comes off to me like a jovial jock, like a kind of dude who people like in the locker room or at school, always had the Letterman jacket, and everyone laughs at his terrible jokes because he's just a nice guy to be around, but he's not like particularly funny or particularly charismatic. He's just the most popular jock in school, and so you don't want to like
likable.
Yeah, but so you don't want to like rub him the wrong way and then be like ousted. I wonder if you just get that like just that super jock feeling off of him, and he seems like that level athlete, and he's probably cool to drink with. And I wonder if like that's the kind of thing that you're attached to, is that he does seem like a type of dude 100% that if I ran into him at a bar, that we'd probably be drinking beers and laughing all night long. You know what I mean? He does seem that way. But in the ring, he's being a dick, and I want to see him get punched. But I'm also inferior to him in every way. There's no way him and I get in a fight and I win. So I'm also going to laugh every time he tells a bad joke.
But you also got a bigger sword than him.
My sword's huge, dude.
You got a Clan McLeod sword?
No, it's more like a letter opener.
He's got a clay extra, not a clay.
A clay too much.
Yeah. But anyways, real quick, going back to the Austin Theory real quick.
Yeah.
I noticed his logo, and I fucking love it. Because it looks like the old Seth Rollins logo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With the
That's cool.
crosshairs. And I'm like, oh, cool. Because, Beard, you weren't here, but Austin Theory was originally brought up to the main roster under Seth Rollins.
That's a good call.
Oh, so he's been up before?
Yeah, he was up for a little bit, and then they immediately sent him back down. I don't know why.
It was a complicated time. It was during COVID. So they only had so many people who could even show up. It was at the very, very beginning of COVID when a lot of people in the roster were staying home. And it was like, look, if you're willing to come in and we'll use you. And he was one of the guys that was willing to come in, and they used him all the way through WrestleMania. But then once everything started clearing up, people came back. They're like, maybe...
He just disappeared again.
He went back to NXT. And it was maybe one of those things where it's all like, look, we used you. It was great. You're not bad, but you could still use some polishing. Let's get you back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I was going to say with last week I wasn't on, but when I saw that face off between Theory and Dominic, not Cruz, Mysterio, I was like, holy shit, this is the fucking future right there.
Yes, it is.
These guys, these kids, I got so excited. I was like, holy shit, this is.
That could be a main event at WrestleMania in 10 years for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're kind of I don't know what they're doing. I almost feel like they're doing more damage than good with Dominic Mysterio's character. I don't know.
Right.
But see, I think they're playing the slow game with him. But anyways, what I was saying with Austin Theory, I love that his logo looks just like Seth Rollins' old logo, minus the couple, things. And I was like, holy shit, whoever designed that, kudos to you, because when he came up under Seth Rollins, I was like, that's fucking awesome.
That was cool. That was really cool. The other thing you were saying, go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The second thing I hated from SmackDown is fucking Charlotte. I cannot stand her.
Who?
And I know
Charlotte Flair.
And I know I'm probably getting worked on a lot of things, but holy shit, her promos are freaking,
Can I say something as a Kev real quick about Charlotte?
Yeah, go ahead.
It just feels like she doesn't want to be there. That's that's kind of how I feel about what's going on with her. You know what I'm saying?
It feels like she's going through the motions now, because that's one of the things I brought up.
She wants to be somewhere else.
Yeah,
and
she wants to be in AEW with her husband.
I thought it was her boyfriend, but hey, Chris, I'm white. It's getting darker here in Alaska. I'm just gonna put some extra light on here. Just let me know what's not. Is this okay?
It's a little hard to see on my side because of where I'm sitting.
I can see from the thing, but I don't know. Here, my monitors kind of did the fritzy too. I don't know.
Let me see. I'm seeing right now where you were. Yeah, it's not bad. You're a little lighter than I probably would like, but we can mess with that another time.
Hold on. I can make that work. Just tell me when it's okay.
I think right there is actually. Wait, no. Can you go down one more? Right there. That looks like it's good.
How about there? I went down one more. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So anyway, Charlotte's promos just contradict herself all the time.
And here's my problem with her promos, Kev. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm only going to say it was real fast so you can get back to it. She's been using the same promo for 3 years now. Am I right?
Oh yeah. The same thing, minus a tweak here and there. But then, when she said this week, and it fucking irritated the shit out of me. She's like, "Oh, how many championships do I have now? Who's counting? You're the one fucking counting. Shut the fuck up. You're the one that's constantly reminding everyone how many championships you have." And like I said, constantly contradicts herself. and it's annoying. And I love that Sasha went out there and said, "Hey, you're the one holding the women's division down. We've been saying this for years, that Charlotte, that's her MO. No one goes into a Charlotte match and looks better if they lose on the other side."
It did feel like there was some truth saying coming out of that promo from Sasha. And I just felt like, and so here's what I'll tell you. Like, when coming back, I wanted to like Charlotte Flair because that, her dad and how legendary he was. Mm-hmm. And there's just nothing likable about her character at all.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
like, I don't understand it. And I'll tell you the other thing that I've noticed, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Again, guys, I'm back maybe 7 months. It feels like when she fucks something up, it just makes the other wrestler look so bad. It almost looks intentional. Like, I feel like she's not very forgiving in the ring. Now, look, I want to say this too. Like, I'm not trying to, this lady I've seen her do, like at SummerSlam, she did some stuff. I was like, wow, that's awesome. She was doing like hurricanranas and stuff. Like, I don't doubt her ability. I just like, and here's the other thing. Let me just say this too. Like, the fans are so important at the arena because we're not there. We don't get the feel. But when you hear the fans, I feel like they're such a good indicator of what is great. When you start hearing them go, this is awesome. This is awesome. No. You're like, this is awesome. Like, this is awesome. Like, I am liking this. I have not hold on just a sec, Kev. I'm not done. I have not once heard them say anything about anything she's done that's great. This again, I didn't mind the SummerSlam match, but I'll just say, like, she's incessantly booed from like the moment she comes out, other than when she does the woo thing that's a part of her intro or whatever. Really, it doesn't feel like there's any love from the crowd. I just feel like I don't like it. It might be beneficial for her to leave just because I don't know that they could do much more with her, is what I think.
Yeah. But see, this is what I was going to say, too, when you were talking about the crowd. The problem with the crowd noise when you're interacting with them at home is, Marsh and I have seen this on several occasions, where you go to the live event, you watch the broadcast, and they either pipe in noise or they mute the crowd. And because we went to an event where Bayley was against Ronda Rousey. Yep. And the whole crowd was behind Bayley, chanting, stuff from when she was in NXT, singing her song. Everyone was behind Bayley. We watched it on, the broadcast, and none of that made the air. Everyone was cheering Ronda on the broadcast, but when we were there at the stadium or arena, everyone was booing Ronda, like, bad. And, it goes once again with WWE just saying, hey, this is our narrative. This is what we're sticking to. This is the direction. So when I hear a lot of chants, especially in Saudi Arabia, how many of those goddamn chants came out in perfect American or in English? Excuse me. Sound like an idiot. In perfect English.
Sounds real bad.
Sounds terrible. Sounds terrible.
Yeah, that was awful.
It came out in perfect English, and you're like, come on now. Like, everyone in unison in perfect English, like, after experiencing it firsthand, it's like, oh, I don't know how much of this is believable. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it comes off a little strange. There was during that match too with the Rousey and Bayley thing was the day after the 2019 Royal Rumble, and I remember because we were booing we were booing Ronda because we were kind of tired of her character at that point, and there was a moment while we were booing her that I stopped booing, and I sat down and looked at producer and was all like, I feel bad for her. Like, this isn't fair. I was like, it's one thing to boo a little, but we're booing too hard. She doesn't deserve this. Yeah. And then when we watched it back on the replay, they showed people like cheering her and she looked weird for no reason. And then there was like a little bit of boos, and I was like, no, it was so bad that I sat down. Like,
it was deafening. It was literally.
Yeah. Well, and guys, let me just say this. I think the WWE was probably trying to put her over without Ronda actually doing the work. Look, we all know Ronda, and me being a UFC guy, she came up as a fighter. Okay, she's not Bailey. Bailey is Seth Rollins. Bailey is Stone Cold Steve Austin or Steve Williams, a guy who watched it on television as a kid and fell in love with it. So, like, you can't make the comparison of Ronda Rousey. I'm not saying that Ronda Rousey didn't like wrestling. I think anybody that's grew up in America in the last 50 years, you either love it or you hate it, but you can associate something with wrestling and you like it, or in this way or the other. And I'm not saying Ronda couldn't tie, like, because I felt like her homage to Rowdy Piper was awesome. But I'll just say this:
100%.
Like, she did not pay her dues in all these little podunk towns, like Bailey did, and like Naomi did, and like all these incredible female wrestlers. So I feel like, I think it's obvious, but the WWE paid her a ton of money, so they're like, we're gonna get her over. And Vince probably feels like he can do anything at this point. And I'll be honest with you. More and more I hear about Vince, I feel like he probably should step away.
I don't know. But so I'll say the idea is that it's just an example of an instance where we know that sometimes the piped in noise isn't what is actually happening in the audience. As far as Ronda, I would say that there's more than one way to pay your dues, and definitely if you look at her career and what she's dealt with and struggled through, I don't know that I'd be willing to say to her face, I don't think she paid enough dues in her life. I feel like she's paid a lot of dues in her own way. Just not in the way that wrestling fans demand, and I think that was the problem, which is weird.
The thing with Ronda, since we're on the subject, is when she went to WWE, I was beyond excited. I love UFC. I was like, great, this is awesome, this is great. But she spent, like, you could tell it was like on the job training.
Yeah.
Where each match she got better, and that's fine. But they immediately strapped the title on her within 2 months?
It was like the second, third match, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. First of all, why does she deserve a title shot outside of being Ronda Rousey?
Yeah.
But, it was on the job training, and she was getting better. And she was
Kurt Angle, no different than Kurt Angle, really.
Kurt didn't win it that fast.
The UFC stuff.
Yeah, Kurt
Angle
did not win it.
Kurt didn't win it that fast. At all. It took Kurt about a year. And I think that's what it was. I think, honestly, if they hadn't have given her the title so immediately, the crowd wouldn't have turned as fast as they did. But at the same time, I think the crowd needed to turn as fast as they did, or you wouldn't have Becky get the moment she got. You know what I mean?
Right, but is that also the reason we haven't seen Ronda since? Because she's done,
yes, 100%. She's talked about it. She hates the wrestling fans.
Yeah.
But all that, to go back a little bit.
She hates
Look, I'll tell you, though, a good lot of us UFC fans, you know how loud I cheered when Holly Holm knocked her the fuck out? Like, I was happy to see her get her ass kicked. Because she was a wrestling heel in the UFC.
And that's true, too.
Straight up. Oh, yeah.
No,
doesn't touch gloves, backs off. What's crazy is my wife's cousin called that upset. He said, because he lived in New Mexico for a minute.
I would have bet money that Holly Holm was going to beat her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. He trained in New Mexico for a little bit in the same gym as Holly Holm.
Yeah,
and
Jackson
he said,
Winklejohn MMA, one of the best gyms in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. He told me, he's like, hey, yeah, and it was even before they even had a scheduled match. He said, hey, he's like, there's a girl there that she's amazing. Her name's Holly Holmes. And he goes, if she ever went against Ronda Rousey, he goes, she would beat him. And I was like, no fucking way. Like, Ronda Rousey's like fucking the best.
Well, most of us diehard fight fans knew that she was a one-trick pony. I actually thought Miesha Tate was going to beat her. And Miesha almost did.
Yeah. I was all behind Miesha. Miesha's back now doing good. But let's circle back a little bit to Charlotte Flair. I think my problem with what Charlotte's doing right now, like you said, she doesn't want to seemingly be there. Her promo's been the same for 3 years, and it's tiring. And it feels like, to your point, Beard, that you said that she doesn't want to be there. The way she was selling in that Shotzi Blackheart match, which, by the way, awesome for Shotzi to get an opening match, a long match with Charlotte, relatively speaking, to have a program set up with her and Sasha afterwards is so fucking cool. I'm super excited for all of that. But that match in and of itself reminded me of of HBK against Hulk Hogan, where Hogan didn't want, or no, HBK didn't like that Hogan didn't want to work with him. It's like, no, it doesn't work for me. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. And so HBK, being as unprofessional as he's ever been in his career consistently, went out there and sold everything 1,000 times over. He would get punched and literally jumped over the top rope and dove out of the ring. It's what it felt like what was happening with Charlotte. She was selling for Shotzi in such a cartoonish way. Like she was told, you have to fucking sell or else kind of a deal. And it's like, oh, I guess I'll sell then. And did these weird cartoony sells for everything. And I was like, she looks like she's selling for someone she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and what made me think of that was, the last few matches, Charlotte looks clunky. She's early or extremely late on her spots. And like before, her athleticism was her main draw. And I feel like the last few matches I've seen with her, she hasn't sold at all. And I think somebody told her, like, almost like taken to the principal's office, you have to sell, you have to sell. And then this match happened, and it was like, what the fuck is this, But like I said, in her last like 5 matches, like she's been extremely early or extremely late on a few spots. And Beard said it earlier. It doesn't make Charlotte look bad. It makes the other talent look bad. Yeah. And
that's why I loved her match with Bianca.
Shame.
I loved the match with Bianca because Bianca realized it early and started overcompensating and started doing double time. So where you see Charlotte, so I don't know if I talked about this before or not, but it's something I talked about with producer not that long ago, and I'll break it down with you because I think, Kev, you're the perfect person to talk to about it. I think Charlotte puts out her own fires, and people say what a good firefighter she is. When you watch what she said, what we were talking about, she stops short and makes the other person overcompensate, and then she meets the person when they're trying to compensate. So people keep saying, look at Charlotte having to work down to their level, where she's stuttering in her movements to prevent that person from moving smoothly. So where someone's saying, oh, she's going to meet me in point B, Charlotte stays at point A, and this person has to go from C to B to A to get to Charlotte. And then Charlotte goes, I'll meet you halfway between A and B now. And now that person is confused because now they're not sure where the fuck they're meeting. And people go, oh, look at Charlotte compensating for their failures. She's putting out her own fires. Where with Bianca, she tried to pull that same shit, especially in a match that was designed to be anything you can do, I can do better, where they're trying to both show that they're hyper athletic. And Charlotte kept under delivering on her copying of Bianca's moves. And Bianca figured out real early that, oh, she's supposed to meet me at B, but she's constantly at A. I'll just double time it and get to A every time. And then she did. Yeah. And so then Charlotte was turning around like, wait, no, I'm supposed to meet you at A.5. And she's like, no, I got you. I'm here at A. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
and it looked like Charlotte was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Because
I'm trying to make you look bad.
Yeah. Hold on, bitch.
Except for Charlotte was the one that was trying to make somebody look bad. It felt like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Bianca is such an incredible, superb athlete that she doesn't even realize it. Just goes, I guess I'll just double compensate and be there. No big deal. Yeah, I can just do that because I'm a superhero.
1,000,000%. Ref Marsh is right on. I felt like Bianca's athleticism, Charlotte was intimidated by it, and she was trying to make her look bad, and it actually backfired and made her look bad, and you could see it in the match. I agree. Yeah. 100%.
But I am excited for SmackDown. I know a lot of people have talked about it. They keep going on, especially with the minutes. I mean, you brought it up yourself, Mr. Sportsbeard, and the minutes that the Queen's Crown got. But I don't see anybody writing down the minutes that the women got this week on Raw or SmackDown. The first half an hour of SmackDown was strictly the women. You didn't even see a male on screen until 31 minutes in, and it was Jeff Hardy in a promo with Caleb Braxton. They got a fourth of the show off the top. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was great. I think it was great for Shotzi. It was great for Sasha. In Raw, a ton of the women showed up out there. Even the tag match between Rhea and Nikki versus Carmella and Zelina went through a commercial. Like, it was a pretty lengthy match.
That was Raw, though. That wasn't SmackDown. That was Raw.
That's what I'm saying. Between Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, between Raw and SmackDown, the women were getting a good amount of TV time, and I was really happy about that.
Well, they're the best wrestlers in the stable right now. I
don't disagree.
Yeah, they're doing. You want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, we can hit the next one.
Vince hated Bray. It shows he's lost all touch with reality. Are you effing kidding me? Everything I've seen from this guy, it's like, why don't you want him? And then look, we all know Bray Wyatt's a free agent now. We'll see what happens. I hope. I heard what's the Impact Wrestling? I've heard Impact Wrestling might be a future home for him.
But didn't Impact just release all of their talent?
No, that was ROH. ROH just
Ring of Honor. Yeah. So you know what I think he's gonna do. And Chris and I had talked, or a friend of mine, Chris.
Yeah.
That I know.
Yeah.
But Ref Marsh, I'll bring this up to you. I think he's a Hollywood guy. I think he's a guy.
Me too.
His production value with that Firefly,
Funhouse
stuff, and I had seen bits and pieces of that, and texted my friend Chris. I don't know what Ref Marsh thinks of those things, but Chris liked them and said it was like the best thing going. So I wonder what Ref Marsh thinks about that.
As soon as Bray got released, that was the first thing that we said was, I want to see him in Hollywood. I want to see him be the next Rob Zombie. You know what I mean? The type of dude who goes from one industry to another and makes these movies that people just can't stay away from, because I think that he is that level of fantastic.
I'll be right back.
Get your refill. I do think something really notable, especially because Kev's got his headphone in, as we always say that we do. The owner of GCW, Brett Lauderdale, was interviewed just yesterday or the day before by Wrestling Inc. By one Nick Houseman, and asked directly if they're in talks with Bray Wyatt or trying to get Wyndham Rotunda, as his name is outside of WWE.
What's his real name?
Wyndham Rotunda.
William
Wyndham.
His real name is Wyndham
Rotunda.
Wyndham?
Yeah.
Rotunda?
Yeah.
Where's he from originally?
I don't know. You'd have to look that up. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm sure if there's a story behind it, but either way, so they asked, "Are you in talks with Wyndham Rotunda? Would you like to see him come do through GCW?" And the response was that they haven't talked to him directly, but they have talked to friends of friends and mutual acquaintances, and I talked to a friend of his, kind of a deal, and they said that he doesn't seem to be in the market of doing any kind of indie scenes at all.
GCW?
Yeah.
What's GCW?
GCW is it's primarily LA and Atlantic City. It's kind of the ECW of today's era. It's kind of like the biggest
show
indie.
You went to a couple weeks ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you think he would go there with their low production value? I'm not shitting on a local thing. I'm just saying, like, here's a guy that was working for the creme de la creme of wrestling and cutting like incredible.
So what I was saying was that they asked the owner if they've been wanting to get him, because whether I think he would go there or not is largely not relevant. But what I would say is GCW is big enough and popular enough that a lot of the people who have left before signing with like an AEW or an Impact have done a match or two in GCW, because it does have a high popularity. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing if he did an appearance or two. You know what I mean? But they're saying, Brett Lauderdale was saying that his understanding is that Rotunda is not looking to do any kind of the indie scene at all. He's not trying to do the rounds on the indies. I forget the way he put it, that he doesn't look favorably on their world, but not in like a negative way so much as like just an uninterested. Not interested is what it was. He's not interested in our world. Which leads me to believe he's either going to go to AEW for big money or he's going to show up in Hollywood doing stuff. You know
I hope Hollywood.
I really do too, because I'm not
shitting on AEW, but it just feels like we talked about the oversaturation of all these quality wrestlers. It feels like they're being wasted in AEW too. Everything I've seen, I've been like, oh, okay.
And to me, I think they're wasted in AEW even more so.
Yeah. I mean, I think the argument could be made, but I'll tell you where I land on the argument is The reason I would rather see him in Hollywood than in AEW, because like it or not, as much as we say in AEW, people get creative control and they can do more things and be more free, and Tony's open to their opinion, at the end of the day, the end of the match is decided by Tony. And what I really want to see from Bray more than anything is completely Bray, completely Wyndham. I want his mind to be free to create whatever it is he wants to create. If he ends up making Hollywood-style Firefly Funhouse type movies and stuff that get real fucking creepy, they can end the way he wants. He's got the money. He can make smaller production stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much input that a director and producer have outside of the creative force. And if he were to do like what Rob Zombie's doing, write and direct, and just look for people to invest, then he can do exactly what he wants to do the way he wants to do it. And that's what I want to see. I don't want him to answer to even Tony Khan. I want to see what he does if he answers to nobody. Because right now, wrestling's hot. He could do a wrestling horror movie his way. You know what I mean? Imagine a 2 or 3 hour movie production that's based all around wrestling. I mean, I was watching with my brother not that long ago, Zombies versus Wrestlers. It had Hacksaw, Mick Foley, Roddy Piper, Kurt Angle. It was fucking crazy. Imagine if Bray Wyatt was behind all that. It'd be incredible. I want to see what he can do with no one being the bottom line but him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. I think you'll be awesome doing Hollywood stuff. From what I've seen of him, he seems like kind of the most exciting. That's like when Kane first came out. You're just like, you want to see what's going to happen next. He just felt like that guy.
Yeah.
is gonna be that kind of next Kane, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
He could even do a miniseries like Heels. Heels is a TV show that's out on HBO. You got a couple of wrestling shows on Vice. Network. Stars, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Do something like that, man. But have Wyndham behind it,
Stephen Amell, yeah, he would be awesome. I mean, he would be incredible. I haven't seen the show, but I've heard. You know what I've heard from Hollywood people that it's good. Stephen Amell was Green Arrow on the CW for a very long time.
He did a thing in WWE before too.
And there's actually a former NFL player, James Harrison, Super Bowl. I think might be a Super Bowl MVP. Played for the Steelers, won a couple Super Bowls. Like scary dude. Like and didn't know a lot about acting and stuff. And I guess is incredible. Yeah. Really good. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. I definitely am going to watch it. I just don't have any way to watch I have so much like online stuff.
Sure. I'm just saying that kind of thing right now is popular. And if those kinds of things can get greenlit, imagine something like that getting greenlit, but with someone else like a Wyndham Rotunda behind it. Kev, we cut you off. What were you going to say?
I don't remember.
All right, that's good. Has like with Wyndham in Hollywood versus AEW?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, everything that I've read about his departure from WWE and obviously the death of Brody, like, no one knows for sure. We're all, like you always say, on the outside looking in.
Yep.
Like, truthfully, like, we've been invested in Bray, Wyndham, and I just want to see him do something that, makes him happy.
Yes.
Whatever it is, if it's
unleashed. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. If it's, hey, I'm gonna go to AEW and continue Brody's path. Okay, if that makes you happy, go for it. Like, just like Moxley, like, hey, we're behind you. Not all of the internet wrestling community is shitty, and dude, what makes you happy, go for it.
Yeah.
If it's Hollywood, if it's TV shows, if it's comic books online, just fucking do it.
Imagine if he did a comic book series with that artist who does all of his concept art, his tattoo artist, cool. Kyle Scarbo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about his own shows, like on Netflix or something, with that whole Firefly Funhouse stuff? Like, you could make there's a lot of creative room there. And I'll say this, like, if he's on his own, he has a little bit more creative control. If he develops something that's really successful, that money goes to him and not Vince McMahon. And who, you know what I'm saying? Nothing against Vince, but like Vince don't need the money. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Vince, but like, so hey, the next topic I wanted to talk about, I got direct quotes from was WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff talking about the CM Punk has kind of in his
right
words,
before we're going to go to that right now. Right before though, Bishop says that he knows the story about how Wyndham Rotunda got his name, and I didn't know it. He pointed out, but he was named after his uncle Barry Wyndham. So Barry Wyndham was his uncle. He took the last name, and Rotunda is the family name. His father being Mike Rotunda, former IRS Irwin R. Shyster, and said. And he said, true story, I think agreeing with the idea of an unleashed Wyndham Rotunda in Hollywood could be something special. So go ahead and do, you said you got some quotes from Eric Bischoff on the idea of that someone had put it out there, CM Punk had put it out there, that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan showing up in AEW was bigger than Scott Hall and Kevin Nash going to WCW.
Well, and you know, from my perspective, who was there in the Monday Night Wars, CM Punk didn't wrestle for 7 years. He did UFC, whatever. He did other things. Nothing against him. And I actually wasn't around for CM Punk.
He's got his ass kicked twice, and they only counted one of them.
Well, hold on. Let me just say this, though, about CM Punk. I didn't have a positive or negative opinion about him in the UFC, and I have no opinion about him wrestling because I missed his entire run.
So but he didn't do good in UFC. How did you not have an opinion on him getting his ass kicked twice?
No, I'm talking about wrestling.
I'm talking about UFC.
No, you said UFC.
Yeah, I watched his fight. He fought twice in the UFC that I can remember. He got beat both times.
Yeah,
dude, he got beat.
You shouldn't have, any kind of feelings for a punching bag.
No, hold on.
That's a good point.
So I thought we were doing a wrestling show. So let me just say this: I missed his wrestling.
Well, I wouldn't say you missed it, but you didn't watch it. I'll get you.
Okay, regardless, I never saw anything, not a promo, nothing. I wasn't around. I'm sorry, I was over in Iraq, and I was blah blah blah, this, that, or the other. So
you didn't see the pipe bomb?
I know I've read a little bit about it, but I don't even know. I don't even know the whole literally.
Yeah.
I don't even know the story. I don't know the story.
It's easily the most overhyped promo of all time.
Okay, so again, I don't know any of it, but so here's what I'll tell you: Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff, who I do know who that is.
Well, yeah, because he's famous.
You can't make the comparison of CM Punk, who didn't wrestle for 7 years, to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash going from WWE or WWF at the time to WCW, because they went like the next effing day. They were there like the next week, which, by the way, I love Kevin Nash. I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. He's in a bunch of his movies. I always loved Kevin Nash. I thought he was one of the best characters ever. If I met Kevin Nash, I would buy him a glass of wine because I believe he's a wine guy. But I'm a big Kevin Nash lover. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's big, sexy.
Now in the ring, we could make blah blah blah, this, that, or the other. Not everybody has to be Rey Mysterio in the ring. Kevin Nash is not Rey Mysterio. I get that. Yeah,
but he was really good. Nash was great.
I love him.
Scott Hall is considered one of the best.
Character. He would scare the shit out of me if I was there. And I agree with Bischoff on this whole thing. I don't know how CM Punk, whoever he is in the wrestling world, which I know he was huge at one point, is not Kevin Nash and Scott Hall going to NWO, WCW.
Did you get the other quotes on that?
When Punk came out and said that AEW signing him and Daniel Bryan was more significant than Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, well, I kind of disagreed with that. Yes, CM Punk was high level 7 frickin' years ago when he was at his peak performance role in WWE. That was 7 years ago. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were fresh off WWE TV, so you know that you can debate the significance because it is a subjective term that's unquantifiable, and I'm not going to bother to do that. This is all Eric Bischoff. I defer to the court. I'll submit Punk's position, but what I found interesting is after Punk showed up with all his significance, far more significance than Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, only to see AEW lose viewership and overcome the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. And if you look at the ratings, I believe it showed that they didn't care. There's a shit ton more. And I'm not trying to bury AEW because I don't have an opinion about AEW because I haven't watched really but bits and pieces of AEW. But I haven't committed any time to it, and I don't want to commit any time to it, and I don't want to shit on it. Congrats to AEW. I'll just say I know who Eric Bischoff is, and I'll just say like you can't make a comparison to somebody that was away from the entertainment business for 7 years to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who went like, yeah, F you, Vince, we're gonna go to WCW.
Yeah, Kevin Nash was the world champion like 2 weeks before.
What?
Kevin Nash was like the world champion at WWE like 2 weeks before, and then goes over.
He was. You talk about being over. Kevin Nash was as over as you could get, and I believe Stone Cold Steve Austin existed in WWE at the time.
Oh, at the time he did. He was ringmaster. Kev, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, but I was gonna say the bigger thing too with that is, you know, especially if you're just going off of ratings, is just the pure volume. You know, back then there was 3-4 million people watching each Monday night.
Yeah, got up to 9. Got up to about 9 or 10.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. So to sit there and say, you know, let's say 9-10 million people invested in wrestling at the time. Holy shit! Somebody jumped ship. You know, they're now the outsiders. Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon and Diesel, you know, and Kevin Nash. Like, that's fucking huge.
Well, Kev, let me say something real quick.
With AEW right now, they're barely breaking 1 million.
Well, Kev, but hold on. Let me say something about WWE specifically. I don't want to speak about AEW, but you know that like 50 million people watch what's going on now, right? Because of the Peacock and the USA
social media,
I'll just tell you, like, they have not figured out, Nielsen, the people that do these ratings and stuff, they have not figured out how somebody like a diehard wrestling fan who loved it but could never follow it because it never worked with their work schedule could now follow it and watch it on their own time. Because it's easy.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, I'm going to bet you that the numbers that we see now, I bet you, like, if AEW is doing a good number on TNT, chances are people are recording that and watching it on Hulu or whatever live streaming thing and watching. So those don't reflect in the ratings.
Yeah. I think that it's safe to say that both shows are doing better in ratings than they get credit for based off Nielsen alone.
It's probably
I will say
4 or 5 times.
What Bischoff's referring to, though, is that in the Nielsen ratings alone, back in the day, that once Scott Hall and Kevin Nash appeared on WCW, it was game changing. Ratings increased and increased every week. It wasn't like it got one big rating and then that was it. If you look at the ratings specifically for CM Punk, his debut was 1.2 million and has gone down every week since then. And right now that same show.
He's not wrestling though, right? He's just
he's wrestling most Rampages. He's wrestled a bunch.
I thought he was commentating. Okay.
He commentates sometimes, he wrestles sometimes, but he's on every Rampage, and he's wrestled a bunch of them. And when he's not wrestling, he's commentating, and when he's not commentating, then you're going to hear from CM Punk. And at this point, Rampage is getting between like 400,000 and 500,000, which is less than even NXT gets, which is considered the C show, which is getting the quote like lowest ratings of the thing. But Rampage is getting even lower than that. But at the same time, the night has to do with it too. Like, there's so many factors into it. It's a Friday night where most people are out, you know what I mean? But if you got a 1.2 million rating on it, and then you have CM Punk wrestle 3 weeks in a row afterwards, and people aren't watching as much, that's not great. It's definitely not as needle moving as he's trying to assume he was. But then CM Punk doubled back later and said, "Why you won't see the difference for 5 years, but in 5 years you're going to know that this was the reason."
Kevin's like, doing the kicking chicken. He's starting to get tired. Let's see. Kev,
nah, I'm good.
Tobacco? You want me to Rochambeau you? Like,
no, I'm good. I'm here for the long haul.
Okay, yeah, you're about to fucking pass the fuck out.
But
Nope.
I don't have a ton else to say about it other than just giving context to what they were saying, and that I agree that I thought that the signing of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk could be, but it turns out it wasn't. I think there's a lot of other factors going into that though. So
yeah, no, I'm with you. I would say that AEW numbers on TV numbers are probably about 5 times lower than they actually are based on people watching it later. I would say you could make the same thing for WWE. Obviously, WWE is the only product on network TV because the majority of the time Smackdown is on Fox, which is a network where anybody can get it, and that obviously more people get that than anything. But we're not talking about we're also not including UK numbers and this, that, and the other. So look, I'll just tell you, and I know that both of you are predominantly WWE. The comments I read on some of these things, AEW is gaining steam, and it's only a matter of time. And look, I think it's the best thing in the world. I want AEW to be so good, so awesome because I just only think it's going to make WWE better.
Yeah,
I just feel like those things, they can coalesce and exist in the same world and become better. Now, that being said, I haven't spent a lot of time watching AEW, but again, I don't want to do that. I want to watch I want to watch hockey. I want to watch football. I want to watch other things.
Yeah.
I want to watch
a ton of time watching
Astros lose the World Series.
I didn't miss a single show from AEW for the first year and a half it was on TV, and I caught all their pay-per-views, and they basically ran me off as a fan. It was
no, Chris, our Ref Marsh, my friend Chris said that he wasn't a fan of AEW, but Ref Marsh, I respect your opinion on this. What I'll say is, I'm not saying you haven't put in the time. I'm saying I can't tell you because I haven't watched more than probably 20 minutes of content, and I'm on Bleacher Report every day, probably 3 or 4 hours a day by the end of the day. And Bleacher Report is owned by Turner, which has AEW. Yeah. And I don't spend a lot of time looking at AEW stuff. I'm looking at NFL or NFL. But there's nothing drawing me to AEW. I'm not going to crap on someone that says AEW isn't good. I'm just saying I don't know anything about AEW either.
Oh, for sure.
But that was our whole point with AEW, is that we wanted them to be successful. We never wanted them to fail. We want them just the same reason. Like, hey, competition pushes the product better and higher, and we wanted that from the beginning. And then after watching it for a year, we're like, all right, we're not going to get that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that realization all of a sudden, like, all right, this isn't what they said it was. And okay.
No, fine. I got you. I think AEW is suffering from what I said earlier, is they have all these incredible wrestlers. They have too much talent and they don't know what to do with it. They don't have the time to deal with it all. They literally do not. They should split into like 2 organizations in itself. I feel like that's the thing, is that it's so saturated now. There's a good thing about the modern era with this sort of thing, and we get all this, we're able to consume the content we love, but there's a bad thing is that there's more of the content we love. So now you have to pick and choose, am I going to be AEW or going to be WWE?
Well, see, I think
if Stone Cold was in AEW, I'd be interested. I don't know.
That's true. I'd watch
that. Well, I thought the same thing with Sting. I've always been a Sting guy. And
I love that.
That's true.
AEW, and I've watched 1 episode since he's been there.
Yeah.
But my problem is we wanted AEW to succeed, and it's not our brand or not our type, but they're just, I don't even know how to word it, how I want to.
Kev, so here's what I'll say. Things come at you so much faster, but I also think that it takes longer sometimes because of the oversaturation of everything like Netflix and Hulu. And I mean, I look at the streaming services I have: Apple Plus, Netflix, Amazon, Peacock, Hulu. And then, oh, by the way, also get HBO Max. And, oh, by the way, you can go to this for free or this for So really, YouTube, by the time, like, even if you don't pay, you got 9 different things you could look at. So I'm saying, like, I think it's going to take longer for AEW to come around and be a legit challenger for the WWE because the WWE is longer and more established. And they've kind of, that because of the PG thing, they're trying to broad base their audience, so they're not trying to be very specific to the hardcore fan, where like something like ECW was only for the hardcore fans and not for the casual fans.
We'll see.
AEW is trying to find that balance. So I'll just say,
but this is what gets me is AEW came out and said, hey, we're not for the casual fan. Like, we want only the hardcore fans. The thing with AEW, though, is I think the problem with them is, we've talked about it before, where everyone gets a participation award and stuff like that, or participation title. They keep promising all this stuff. But with AEW, I think the biggest problem is the inmates are basically running the asylum.
I agree.
I agree. The elite are, hey, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. And they keep putting themselves over on everything. And don't get me wrong, I haven't watched in months. But the elite keep putting themselves over on everything. And it's like, yo, you have all this saturation of talent. And most of the elite, in my opinion, aren't that good. The Young Bucks, yeah. I think Adam Page is probably one of the best talents that they have. And from what I've heard is that they've shit on him for the past 2 years, and they're slowly coming around to him again.
Yeah. It's just no different than a lot of other ones. I think there's a lot more issues than just that alone. Was there anything outside of the AEW sphere that you had on your list?
Yeah, Edge not wanting to go to Saudi Arabia. I love this story. He has 2 daughters and doesn't like those guys, the political stuff that goes on. But he was sold by having Ref Jess being the dedicated. I really liked that story. I feel like, hey, look, you know what? Not everybody likes their job, but you get paid a lot of money to do it. He went over, and I'll tell you, like, outside of the Goldberg match, I really was a big fan of the Hell in a Cell match between Edge and Seth Rollins, primarily because I wanted to see Seth Rollins lose. And as I'm getting back into the fandom, I'm realizing, like, to me, the Edge coming back and then watching, since last week, I watched him coming back, and I was already emotional about that whole thing. Just kind of the fans thing. I was so amazed. It's so emotional for me. I like hearing that. You think you know me, like, I just get like chills run down my spine. So
yeah.
But I want to go down.
He put out a big post about Jessica being in there as well.
What? Sorry.
He put a big post on his Instagram about Jessica Carr being in the ring for that, and she even refereed with like a long sleeve thing underneath, and it was a pretty big deal. The amount of stuff they're trying to do for the amount of hope they're trying to give to the women out in Saudi Arabia is a pretty big deal. So,
well, what Adam Copeland Edge said was like he could say to his 2 daughters, "Hey, I did this, but we had this female ref." Like I thought there was that was a really cool message. Like he felt like even if this was vilified years later, he could go to his daughters and say, because he has 2 daughters, and say this. And to me, when you understand like the personal side, that life of it, it's really cool. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's also notable too because right after you saw that pay-per-view, your initial thought when you messaged me was, I didn't like this pay-per-view, but I loved that match. And then the more we talked about it, you realized there was more matches you liked. But it stood out to me that match stood out to you so much that it was just like, hey, this match was fantastic.
And it didn't even dawn on me the female ref. Like that didn't even dawn on me, Ref Marsh. Like that was like it felt normal to me because I was so used to seeing these women kick ass. So anyway, I had a great time. I had a great time kind of figuring that one out. So
anything else on the list there?
Tonight.
Anything else on the docket?
I have nothing.
Nothing. Kev, was there anything else you thought we missed that you definitely wanted to talk about, Raw or SmackDown or anything?
The only thing I wanted to throw out there was on Raw.
Yeah.
They had this community package of Titus,
Yeah.
doing all the great charity work that he did and stuff like that, or does. And I thought that was great. But when they showed the reaction of the Street Profits, and they were kind of, to me, almost mocking it, like it undermined it a lot about it, and it fucking pissed me off. And just
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they can be too cartoonish, man. They were just trying to clown it up, and it was like a little bit of reverence would have gone a long way to show a little bit of respect. So I agree with that. Yeah.
When I saw that, it pissed me off.
I'll be honest, this week when Street Profits were on TV, I legitimately stood up and walked out of the room because I was like, oh, great, I've been needing a break. Also, it was some NXT stuff. There's stuff happening in NXT that I'll talk about tomorrow in episode 1 that I just went ahead and just didn't watch. And Peter just kept saying, like, look what they're doing. I'm like, no, why would I look? I know what's happening. I don't want to see it. But we're going to cover that ground tomorrow. But yeah, what Titus is doing is amazing. Titus is an incredible ambassador and representative and charity worker. They named like a high school after him.
Small note on that too. Like I also like they gave the 24/7 stuff and R-Truth a little bit more airtime, which I was like, oh, this is cool. And I don't know, but I didn't want to detract from the charity stuff, but it wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't all bad. You were talking about it a little bit ago. Raw was really easy to get through the past couple weeks. Ever since the draft, it's been good. They've drafted a bunch of the SmackDown talent that we loved over onto Raw, so now Raw is great. And then on SmackDown, there's only a few people there that we're not loving. So let's see.
One of the other things that I had, since we opened the show with Adam Pearce, closed the show with Adam Pearce.
Go ahead.
Was I the only one that thought when he, was talking about Brock, yeah, and there's more than a suspension or whatever. There's a fine, and then he's like, "It's $1 million."
Oh yeah.
Maybe
I was waiting for the
not
pinky.
the only one.
Yeah. I was like, God damn, Dr. Evil.
And we all know it's not real.
I was waiting for the pinky for sure. I was like, here comes the pinky.
All the comments I saw, $1 million for a fake wrestling.
Yeah. We're gonna find him $1 million.
No, $1 million is jack and shit now.
Dude, I love Pat McAfee's reaction to that. Are you kidding me? 7-figure fine.
7 figures. Yeah.
Pat McAfee was on it. He was on it that night. He was so good.
Yeah. Pat's the only good thing about anything Adam Pearce is involved with, and I'll say that.
I got heat with Sean Spears. You got heat with Adam Pearce. We'll figure it all out. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we did a good job here. I think we covered a lot of ground. I like you making a list as you go. Kev, what do you think about this new format with letting Jeremiah, the old sports beard, come in and break down everything he saw and what he doesn't quite get, and we could just go from there?
I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. It's good.
I think it's a lot of fun.
I don't like that little girl handlebar mustache you have, Kev.
Oh, it's coming in. It's coming in.
Hey.
It takes time.
We got some, what do they call it on Twitch? Some feeds or tokens.
Anyway,
because of it.
Kev, I kid. I actually love the handlebar. It's awesome. I love it. It's great. I actually want to tell you I love it. It's great. I don't want you to have a complex about it. It's really good. I love it. Now, I will say this. If your wife doesn't love it and you're keeping it, I can't help you there. But I'll just tell you,
no.
It's good.
It's all in spite.
Yeah.
It's in spite, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll shave it when you... No.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, then we'll be back next week for a brand new episode 1. If you guys want to join me, Miss Amanda Jane, and Crybaby Clump tomorrow night for a whole new episode 1, all about AEW and NXT this week, then come on back for another drink. But as of right now, I think we're getting ready for last call. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Congratulations
to other people.
Congratulations to the Braves for winning the World Series.
Yes, and beating the Chitros. Hell yeah, buddy. Don't say a word, Marsh. Don't say a word.
Congratulations to Carmella and Corey Graves.
Yes.
And
Yes,
and
that's
congrats
awesome.
to Titus O'Neil.
Congratulations
And
to Carmella and Corey Graves.
you know what? And congratulations to John Moxley for making that step,
Yes.
because that's a huge
Mr.
deal.
Moxley.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
So John
Very well
Moxley is
soon.
Dean Ambrose.
yes,
I didn't know that, but yes, John Moxley, best. Hey, congrats, man, and
Yeah.
best of luck in
congrats
sobriety.
on making that step. It's a huge
Yeah,
step. It's an
sure.
important step, and it's the first step. So we're definitely be waiting for him on the other side of all that. So guys, I am at Ref Marsh. This is at WOTR the show. With me, as always, per usual, at Kevlar on the Rocks with an X, and brand new with me, as always, at Beard_Sports. Guys, come back tomorrow night and next week for a whole brand new episode 1 right here in the dive bar of the IWC. That's last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.